You're fuck. I haven't muted there. Cool. My bad. Thank you for the heads up. We're about to get started. Sorry. This is total last-minute setup. A little more jank than usual, but we're good. Cool. Prime will be here in a second. They're getting started with the stream, so let's move over to that. Cool.
I started building NextJS 7 years ago because I wanted to build a blazing fast website, but I didn't want to deal with all the frustrating tooling and setup and infrastructure around it. And it's been incredible to see it grow till today to the tune of 850,000 monthly active developers.
That's a big number. I know that I'm not exactly a professional with numbers, but as far as I know, it's a big number.
We're thankful to you all because these are the folks that are building the websites and pushing
Low sound.
all your incredible deployments.
Not sure how much I can do about that, sadly.
By the way, that's the population of the city that we're in right now, San Francisco, or even 24 full Miami FC
Hopefully that helps.
Stadium to see the GOAT.
Oh no, did that freeze the capture? Are you kidding?
Cristiano. Play.
There we go. Windows.
So the community continues to...
Did Warren do this?
Come on.
I can feel it. It's going to be...
powersnike.com.
Okay, there we go.
Notion.
I think their stream froze, actually. Oh, no.
What you guys are missing is, like, I mean, he's laying down some facts right now. It's super good. I can hear it as we speak.
Other stream is dead, too. Okay, great.
Nice. Wait, hold did.
Yeah, no, so the Ethernet's fine. The problem is that their stream went down.
Let's go. Okay, you know, this happens. You know, if you've never streamed live, you haven't crashed. Live. It's a fact. It's tautology right there.
How many times has that happened to you?
I crash once a month.
Once a month?
Once a month.
That's not bad.
Apparently, Vercel stream is back. Maybe if I refresh,
All right,
we'll
Vercel,
be good.
let's go. By the way, hello, chat. Are you guys ready?
Hello.
Ooh, this microphone sounds good.
I know.
Yeah.
Hi.
All right.
You're
Cool,
right.
there we go.
Stop whispering. Where's that chest
It's
talk?
going to be a close battle
Chest talk.
between NextJS 14 and performance.
We're good.
This is fantastic. All right. Let's get some more people in.
Let's go, performance. Everybody hit that performance button.
It's getting really close. All right, I'll do all of them at once. Concurrently with suspense.
Oh, yeah, look at that. That performance is getting so good.
In concurrent mode. All right, let's just go with NextJS 14. It seems like the clear winner so far. So the foundation of NextJS 14 is, of course, the app router. And it has 3 main pillars. Number 1, we built this app router on the basis of flexibility for the developer. We wanted to give you all these APIs like layouts and nested
The third one's going to be
layouts,
taint,
new
right?
metadata API.
Deep.
Of course, app router had to be powerful.
In the taint.
The most powerful thing is this data fetching system with caching and invalidation built in.
That's very nice, by the
And
way.
last but not least,
Yes.
we're
I
all
hate
here
those 2
for
items
fast.
specifically.
So of course, app router
Yeah,
is faster.
honestly, the
The
cache makes
key
it hard
thing
for me
here
to
is a
leave
new
Next behind for
foundation
any
built
reason.
on
It's just I
Spring
miss it so much when I use anything else.
HTTP
Fair
and
take.
Web fundamentals. So most importantly, one of the key tenets of the app router
Volume, please.
is that you can adopt it incrementally alongside.
I can't
the
make it any
pages running,
louder, sorry.
Even one page at a time. Now, when we look at the public data, how far we've come since
you're
that
definitely
initial
correct.
beta, it's been incredible that in the top 1 million websites on the internet, we see tremendous growth in app router adoption. This is folks using and deploying React server components to production.
How
We're
big is that last
very
one
thankful
today?
For
It looks
everybody
like it's
that's given
10,000.
us feedback.
It is a big
battle
number.
tested it,
And we lost
put
it.
in front of amazing experiences. in front
I
of
can move us to
amazing
the bottom
users. So
corner, probably a
yeah.
good idea.
That's
you've
usually the least
entrusted
important
us
corner.
to build
Right? There you
the
go.
app router
Trim the edge a
to
bit.
the maximum level of quality possible. So today, I'm happy to announce NextJS 14. And guess what?
That is
NextJS
1 bigger
14
than 13.
Comes with
See, I can math.
no new APIs.
Let's go. There we
That's
go.
actually huge.
So why is it a 14? Are
No,
they not
in
respecting
fact,
Semver?
Not only does it have
What's
no new
Semver?
APIs, we have
This thing
a
we all do.
surprise that'll help you forget about some APIs that you didn't ever want to learn.
Cause
So
of
we'll
the
see
taint?
towards the end of
Is
the
14 the cause of the
presentation.
taint?
So over the past year, we've completely overhauled our documentation. Of course, a framework wouldn't be great
There you go,
without
Theo.
There, I
incredible
just boosted the
documentation.
stream
So
volume manually
We have
with
new
a lot
API
of
reference
hacks.
docs. We updated the design of the Next.js documentation. Shout out to our design team. And we improved search. So of course, you want to go to nextjs.org/docs and find things quickly. But
Did they use AI for
more
search?
feedback about education. We heard feedback from
They
the community.
probably use the
and
AI package.
it
If
turns
you npm
out
install AI, that's their
you
package.
wanted more docs.
I
more
don't want to know how much they
education,
paid for that.
to help you learn.
Did they use
And
V0 for their doc site?
now, I'm happy to announce that we've
I don't think so,
overhauled
but I'm sure that
and introduced
Next.js
a
Learn,
brand new
they certainly used it for.
/learn.
Who's the middle
not
girl? This is
only teaches
Madison.
you all the
Yes.
new fundamentals
She has
of
YouTube videos.
Next.js. It extends into areas like authentication, databases, everything you need to ship a production-grade, full-stack Next.js application.
Nerds.
I'm really excited because ever since we launched the initial nextjs.org/learn, I know that it's educated millions of developers that have gone on to create amazing things, some of which we highlighted earlier. So I'm just really excited to see what you all are going to build after you go through nextjs.org/learn. And in the context of that education, the things that I hear about what you love about Next.js is that ultimately it's opinionated. It gave you this zero configuration foundation.
I think I like
But Next.js sits on top of React.
Opinionation
React
over
is that
configuration.
powerful engine
I'm not a
that is
YAML
there
engineer.
behind the scenes. And one of my favorite features of React itself is its ability to compose into reusable components, whether it's the UI or whether it's the
Is that a
interactivity
default export?
in the form of hooks.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
However,
they-
those common JS
that's-
Up
next.
until recently,
They
this
do a lot of default
composability,
exports in
this,
the Next model,
ability
sadly.
to put things into components.
That's one of my
was limited
biggest pain
to
points.
just the client
It's better
side,
than weird
and it
named
hadn't
exports, though,
gone
when you
yet
just have some
into the
random thing
server.
named page, and whenever you export it, it does
So
magic stuff.
Next.js
so.
had an answer
That's what
for
I
that.
want.
Because
I want page as a
we used
function
the server
or a
more
component.
over the years. We added
Aren't functions
hooks
just components?
And APIs
That's the
that sat
confusing
on
part. Is it
top
a function that
of
produces
React
components,
itself,
or is it a
like
component?
get server-side props?
Why not both?
But we knew that the
Get
React
server-side
team had
props
also been
deserves an
experimenting with
award
new
for
APIs
worst API
to
of all time.
answer some of these
It's like,
challenges.
make everything take 3
Those
seconds
APIs
longer
include
as a function.
suspense
I
and
like that
React
idea.
Server components. And of course,
That's why we have something
as
called
a
suspense,
framework that
so you
builds on top of
feel it.
React,
You wanna
our
feel
duty
it.
was to expose these APIs to you and help you explore them and experiment with them. So to do so, we needed to do 3 things.
Theo.
Number 1, we built a new router that tries to set up itself on top of these React foundations. Number 2, we created a new data fetching system that is tightly integrated into that router and handles things like not just data fetching, but also caching and invalidation. And last but not least, an architecture that is built on streaming so that you can fetch data and make it available to users without blocking experiences. That vision materialized into the app router that we have today. For example, with server
You've largely
components,
adopted with the
I
new
can
app router,
grab
right,
data
Yeah,
and use
everything
it
we've been
directly in
building recently
components
used
that
it,
are
so upload
reusable
things
throughout
entirely
my
on top of it.
application. The
So
components
is it true that
themselves
it's very
are fetching
difficult?
the data.
Because you hear a lot of people
And this is
jibber
not
jabber
just
on
data
Twitter,
coming
and I don't
from
trust
my
Twitter. Twitter's
database.
just what I don't
This
do.
is any data coming from anywhere in the
Pausing
cloud.
them for a sec. We'll catch up.
Yeah.
So it's very different is the thing. So in the old model, there was a few parts that did a lot of different things, and you'd often run into edge cases where the part you're using doesn't do the thing you need to do very well. Like if like use effect gets used for 1,000 different things, most of which suck. With the new model, there's more parts that you have to deal with, but you only pick the ones that you need for the specific problem you're solving, and they're all much simpler. So it's a wider set of things, but each one's depth is much shorter. And my personal favorite thing is that when you use something incorrectly, you realize that much quicker. You get the feedback almost immediately when something doesn't work, versus 6 months down the line, users are crashing and memory leaking, or you have a use effect firing 1,000,000 times when it was supposed to fire once. Those types of problems are very much gone with the new model, but there are different things you have to learn to adopt the new model.
Okay. I think I understand.
And this data fetching
explain it to me like
components can be
HTMX?
shared on NPM.
So
In this
a
power,
mommy
combined with server
JavaScript and a
actions,
daddy
means that you can also
HTML
mutate
had
your
a
data
baby.
alongside React components, and even invalidate it when it's cached. It's as easy as calling that function. It's just a JavaScript function in this case called action. Of course, this also works with forms. So just like React Server components, these actions can be shared and exported to the community through NPM. With Next.js 14, server actions are now stable.
Bold.
I'm
Scary.
excited
Bold.
because this was the
You see
missing
Trash
piece of the
Dad
puzzle.
behind
This
us,
makes
by
the
the way,
architecture
walking up the stairs.
complete. It means that you can fetch data, and of course,
He
you can
said he was
mutate
gonna
it
try to
in a
mess
very
with
I
natural
don't think the camera's high
programming
enough
model.
res to catch
Of
something
course,
that's
tightly
small.
integrated into Next.js.
Got
So
him.
selfishly, the best part is that you just write a lot less code.
He
So we
calls
have
you
actions on the right-hand side
short
here. The biggest thing
Yeah.
is that you're not
This
creating
is
all these ad
actually
hoc
really
APIs
dope if
in
you
order
look
to
at the
register
comparison
mutations.
here,
You don't have to
where
mess with all this
the handler
client-side hooks
is-
for data fetching. You don't
can
have to
be
think about two
inlined,
ways
and any
of
props
dealing
that the
with data.
component has can
No
be
disk
accessed
to
through
use
the
effect,
action.
but it could get
That's
messy at times.
server
So just having
code in the
all of my data
async
taken care of by
function
the framework
create. Like
is pretty
that's
awesome.
server code in the form
And
will
while it's
just
still
post
early,
to that
we're
endpoint.
seeing incredible results from our community. So this luxury brand, Jennifer Fisher, went from a monolithic e-commerce experience and went headless with App Router on Vercel and Next.js. And the results that we've gotten are pretty freaking incredible. So not only does it load fast, which I love, but every measure of the performance profile of their page has improved. And this is translated into world results for
99.
their customers. It means that customers are
So
happier,
close.
they
So
transact faster,
close.
and of course, Jennifer Fisher, wherever
Well,
you
they
are,
removed
you're
Google
happy.
Analytics.
Beautiful earrings. So all of this would not have been possible without the amazing individuals in the React Core team that have been incredible partners to make all of this technology possible and all of these glorious results possible. So huge shout out to the React Core team that have been working on this foundational technology for so many years.
That
Second,
team does ship.
the companies that
So excited.
basically worked with us along the way in betting on React
I had
components.
coffee.
So many of you are here today. I want to give a shout
Okay,
out
I
to
got
Clerk,
snubbed hard
Superbase,
here.
Shopify, Payload, Sanity,
We
Okta,
absolutely
and so
belong
many other
on this.
companies that are collaborating on
Snubbed.
bringing
I don't
their
know what
data
Okta
into
is.
React Server components.
Whom is Okta? What do they do?
I hope you're joking.
These companies, they're not just
Well, just actually
helping
kind of hope
create
you're not
examples,
joking. That'd be
templates,
funnier.
and documentation.
Explain it for a
They're
friend.
becoming part of this emergent data ecosystem.
That's
You,
who I'm
you
asking
report on the
about.
news too much.
The SDKs can now be encapsulated as
They're like
components
Clerk, but for
that are easily
enterprise.
shareable, and they will hide away a
And
lot
for
of the
getting your data
complexity that
stolen.
we never want to deal with as developers when
that
integrating
second
data
part's
and
not a
other
glowing
headless
recommendation.
systems. So I'm really excited of this emergent data ecosystem around React Server components, and it'll open up incredible opportunities to many, many companies in the ecosystem. Third, the Aurora team. The Chrome Aurora team have been crucial partners to every framework in the ecosystem, providing guidance.
My brain
and
just did a quick
patches and
WTF for a
amazing
second when it
feedback
showed the
to make
Chrome
the
logo.
entire
And
web
as the words
better.
came up and it
Many
wasn't
of you
Chrome, I was like,
in the
what?
Chrome Aurora
Oh, okay,
team
yeah.
are here today, so
The Chrome team has
thank
been
you,
awesome
and,
lately. I'll
look
give them
forward to
credit. I
hanging
have
out
somebody
with you
from
as
them
well.
that I'm going to be doing a stream
And thank you
with
for your
soon.
contributions,
dope.
not just to this release, but over the years in the course of Next.js.
Say it with me, Madison.
Our
good.
individuals in our community, I'm incredibly indebted to you all. So of course
There are
this slide is
nowhere
not
near enough cat
comprehensive.
girls in
There's
here.
So many folks,
don't
but I
see a
really want to
single
give a
one.
shout
Julius
out
is in
to
here.
all the educators, our community
And Zoo's in
members
here.
who
Yeah, hey,
answer
Zoo.
questions, take time out of their day,
Osnay's
helpful
in here.
friends who give us
Who else do I
feedback.
recognize?
I had a delicious
It's been,
beverage with
yeah,
Zoo
let's
over the
give
weekend.
it up for our community. It's been incredible.
Nexel, of course.
My hands are in my pocket. It's cold. I'm clapping.
You're cold?
Thank
Yeah,
you all.
some of us don't.
So,
Trash, you got
last
snubbed for
but not
this.
least, I want to give a shout out to the visionaries, the risk takers, the ones who dared to go deeper.
HTMX,
You know who
let's
I'm talking
go.
about.
Oh, close. I got close.
PHP.
Very
They had
close.
it right all along. More server, simpler programming model, the OG serverless. You deserve your accolades.
Lee sent me
Love
this
the PHP.
early. I didn't know what it was for. That is hilarious.
But jokes aside,
They
folks
made the
outside
PHP
of the
Lambo.
JavaScript ecosystem have also been giving us incredible
that a
feedback
Taylor Otwell
about how to
shout-out?
leverage
Yeah.
more of the stack.
Taylor's a great
Maybe
guy.
go back to some of the fundamentals of the web.
I have a video of him
and
asking
just
me if I
overall
want
make the
program
internet faster
PHP,
and
and
better.
he's in his
So,
Lambo revving the
thank you
engine.
all. Thank you.
I gotta use it. I don't even know
I
what to do
think
with
they
it.
need a PHP wrap for said Lambo.
Yeah. I gotta do something with it.
Now, let's talk about performance, which was
yeah.
it was almost beating Next.js 14.
React devs
out
don't get
there.
Lambos, we get yachts.
So our goal with Next.js, as far as performance goes,
Is SWC backwards there?
We always wanted to
The logo
abstract
always
away
looks
all
weird.
of the complexity to get to a
Oh,
great
yeah, okay, I see it
developer
now.
experience. The core idea of Next is that just run one command.
Yachts
you don't
and
have
yachts
to
of
worry about
bugs.
assembling and configuring all of the tools.
We're talking about Rust. This is your time, Prime.
And since we last
Let's
spoke,
go.
we made incredible strides in improving the compiler infrastructure in a way where you really didn't have to do anything else other than
good.
upgrade the framework to the latest version. So we shipped a 22% faster initial compile, that is booting up the dev server and getting to that first page, and a 29% faster code.
You guys were wondering what that sound was. That was Trash awkwardly scooting a stool next to
us. On
us.
the keyboard, pressing save and seeing them on the screen.
Trash, what are you doing?
And it turns
His
out
gentle
that
programmer
after
wrist can't
shipping
lift a
this,
chair.
we went back to
can
the
only
drawing
drag
board
it.
and we asked
And
ourselves
it'd
and
be a
asked
little
the team,
high for him if he had
what
to pick
should
it
we
up.
work on
I'll do
next?
some push-ups later. Trash.
The results will shock you. It's performance. Still
Ooh,
performance.
that is a great graph. That's my
Which is
favorite
music
pie
to my
graph
ear.
right there.
We're super aligned. And
Got a whole
the
ass
key
pie.
question here was, how we know that you want
The dash
performance,
was
how can we
with ass and
deliver?
pie.
There's actually a very, very
its performance
tiny sliver in
updates
there
to
for
you
new
as
features where I
fast
clicked the
as
wrong button
possible.
accidentally in the survey.
And you know that at NextJS Conf, we talked about rewriting our entire NextJS CLI and bundler technology in Rust.
We have to be careful of this. We don't want the stream to get DMCA'd.
Rust is,
Yeah, I know.
It's been an awesome
Make sure this
investment,
stream
but
is not
it's taken a
endorsed by the
while to
Rust
give you all
Foundation.
those
Yeah.
performance improvements. So
It's not.
my question was, should we rewrite
gotta be
in
careful
a
with
new
the R
programming
word.
language? Should
Did
we
they,
rewrite in Zig? Should we? What do we do to
Zig
get you
would've been a
this
bold
in
choice.
a new programming
Yes.
language?
It would've been
should
fun.
we rewrite in Zig? Should we? What do we do to get you this improvements fast to you? And I'm here to announce that we're still betting on Rust, and we will deliver incrementally and fast. So I'm going to tell you how we're going to do that.
They are doing OCaml.
So we're sticking with Rust, but we're refocusing our effort primarily in the NextJS
He
compiler.
said I can't hear anything. He's
We want to
just
see the
trying to mess with
NextJS
us so
compiler
bad.
succeed with this new infrastructure and give you the improvements to performance as incrementally as possible. And we want to see that in small, large applications. We want to see that in the pages router, and we want to see it in the app router.
Wow.
And the three things that we're going to be monitoring very, very closely to decide whether our investments are paying off are, number one, a fast dev server. Number two, fast code updates from save to screen. And number three, fast production builds. So this is running next build, especially
Oh,
when you go
that's
to production.
actually an interesting change. I wasn't sure if they were going to get
how
next
do we
build
do
on top of
this?
Turbo
How do we
Pack
give you
for
all
this.
of this? How do we track our progress? How do we measure that we're on track? This, I regret to announce,
It's the bathroom
is
wall.
not my GitHub contribution chart.
Oh,
It's actually suffered quite a bit in the last couple of years.
relatable.
This is how we're tracking the reliability of our Rust-based compiler. So this represents running the entire test suite
Are we turboyet.com?
of NextJS
Is that
real?
we've accumulated over 7
Think
years
so.
with every bug fix, every reproduction, every race condition. You can keep track of it at areweturboyet.com. And all this beautiful
No.
blue squares
91.1% of next dev tests are passing, though.
90% of tests passing with Rust.
91
So
points.
it's been incredible to make this huge strides in reliability. So let's talk about some of the performance improvements that this is going to unlock. Number one, we're seeing 53% faster initial compile.
It's pretty good.
With the most recent introduction of TurboPack. And up to 94% faster
Honestly, just
code
skill issues.
updates. Again, these apply to both routers, the Pages router and the app router. To recap, we're refocusing our Rust-powered compiler effort. We're delivering to the tune of over 5,000 passing tests already in the most recent release. Everything is faster all around. And the thing I'm most excited about is this is the new baseline of performance. To give you a sense of this, when you run nextdev-turbo, we're running everything cold. No persistent file system caching yet. And it already really beats the previous compiler infrastructure. It's just way
Nice.
faster. So this is the new
Was
baseline.
the previous one
We're gonna
JavaScript
keep
compiling
getting faster in the
JavaScript?
future.
Yeah, it was
and
all
you can
Webpack
keep track of
everything.
our progress on
That's a W.
areweturboyet.
I'm glad somebody said,
.com.
hey, you got some JavaScript?
So
I
now,
can compile that.
the moment
with
we've all been
JavaScript.
waiting for. Simplifying
Bootstrap, you may
NextJS.
call that, Madison.
All want to deliver
TypeScript compiles
fast
TypeScript, called
websites,
Bootstrap.
dynamic websites.
Did you know
We
TypeScript's
all
written in
want
TypeScript?
Simplicity when it
TypeScript's
comes
written in
down
TypeScript.
to the programming model. So before I go into how we can deliver on this simplicity and as promised with no new APIs, I'll talk about
scared.
how I measure a fast
You're
website.
scared?
What are they
I wanna
making
see a
simpler?
fast
I'm scared they're going to
initial
deprecate
visual.
something I use.
So this is opening my phone, go to a page, and I want to
You
see
already know. This is
instantaneously.
pre-watched for you.
I don't
Even
actually
though it
know.
might not be
I have been leaked
Because
details. I
there's
was leaked a
parts of
blog
that
post, but I haven't
site
read it yet, so I
that
have
are
no idea
dynamic and
what's
He knows.
personalized here.
personalized just for me.
You know he knows.
So I
Do
also
you know?
care about
No, I would.
a
Of course
fast
not. I know
dynamic
about Go and
vision.
HTMX
This is when, for
and
example,
Rust.
the state of my car.
Oh, actually, I think I know what they're going to do.
streams in, or
I know
my
nothing.
I know what this is
recently
gonna be
viewed
now.
items on an e-commerce
Why do
site
I feel so
stream in.
short? Why? I'm like taller than you.
And most importantly,
You are
in
waist-
terms of simplicity,
Yeah, we actually got
I
your
want a
chair a little
great
shorter
developer
specifically.
You
experience.
made it go down a little.
So through this lens, through this
Feels good.
criteria,
Yeah, our chairs are
Like,
bloated
wish
with our
Fast
Java.
Buddy was here right now.
Our
the
chairs
history
are
of
bloated with our
Next.js
JavaScript
until
bundles.
now,
Because I have really
You
and
wouldn't
the
get it.
rendering strategies that we've shipped.
This is the firmest direction I've had
It
in a
all
while.
started back in the day.
Doing your best.
Young Rauch G with traditional server-side
Now you're
rendering.
taller.
So this is the common SSR that you remember from backend-centric technologies. What happens here is I have a visitor potentially far away from a server. That visitor is waiting until
Far
the
away from
request
server? Sounds
lands
like
on
scale
that
issue.
server. That server starts querying that
You always
database.
say move your mic closer.
And what we're seeing is it took a while to get to
You
the
guys
Maybe
need
just
to
sit
sit
further
chest.
forward.
And the dynamic visual from that point on happened fairly fast.
Diaphragm it. Squeeze
Let's see how we would
your
rate this.
diaphragm.
Fast initial visual,
How do I do
would
that?
rate it sadness.
Much better.
In.
Why? Because, well, we saw those 4 white screens. It's
Okay,
just you're
I
not
know what
getting
this is going to be.
anything,
The white
especially
screens.
if you're
They're
far away
talking
from
about the white
server.
screens. Yes, finally.
Fast dynamic visual.
Ooh.
I went to our design team. We settled on slightly smiling
Not
emoji
Kegels.
face. And the DX was actually great. I hear a lot of your feedback that the beginning of Next.js was really simple. It was just get server-side props, throw some Node.js code in there, you're done.
Boom.
So DX was the inspo for what we're going to see today.
Oh, yeah.
The next step is the community gave us feedback that some of their pages, some of their workloads were fully static. So we added static site generation capabilities, and Next.js became a hybrid framework. It could do both on an entry point basis. So let's look at a static page here.
That'd be pretty complicated to
But
do.
actually, turns out
Yes.
later on, I have to personalize.
This is
so
this
what
is the
happens
change I
is
wanted.
I
So,
give you the initial visual nearly
I'll
immediately.
let him talk, then I'll interrupt.
And then to actually get to the final state of personalized data, that's where it gets tricky, right? I have to download lots of JS. I have to fetch the data. I have to render. There could be waterfalls. So as you could imagine,
HTMX, I don't know
fast
what he's
initial
saying.
visual is lovely. We rated fast dynamic visual deadly. And the DX was OK, but keep in mind that in this model, you were juggling 2 ways of fetching data. For example, get static props and all the hooks on the React side to fetch data on the client.
That's painful.
So not fully satisfying. Let's now look at the bleeding
Never been
edge.
satisfying.
What do we have today? We have streaming, absolutely incredible technology. We have things like the edge runtime. We have the ability to put the compute right next to the visitor. So the initial visual gets better. Dynamic also gets better. But it really depends on how you configure it all. It really depends on whether the data is close to the compute or not. It depends a lot on what ecosystem of packages you're using. It's kind of like
Lodash is in there.
fully satisfying on
Yeah,
every
this is what
dimension.
I do right
The
now.
initial visual could have been as fast as a
Yeah, this is
static.
the point where I interrupt. So there's 2 methods right now if you're using Next to do server-side stuff with the new model. Model 1 is you use Lambda. You block first byte on when the Lambda starts to respond. You send a response whenever the Lambda comes up and knows what to send for the first response, and then it can stream in additional stuff. The other option is you can use Edge instead, so it gets that first response a little bit faster, but that Edge compute might be farther away from your database, so it actually takes longer to generate the rest. Or you're running APIs and things like Prisma that don't work on Edge. So neither of those are ideal, and what a lot of people do is they statically generate the core pages so they can throw them in the CDN, and then they run the JavaScript to fetch the additional data to then fill the rest of the page with a ton of waterfalling. So your options are kind of faster first load, or slower first load, much better DevX and better user experience overall. But I hate that I have to eat a Lambda cold start for every page load. That's just awful, and I think they're going to fix that.
For example,
Okay.
the dynamic visual could therefore have happened faster, especially when you're juggling your compute being far away from your data in waterfalls. And the DX, well, don't get me started on the DX, because now I have to figure out runtimes, figure out regions, figure out what packages work, what packages don't work. So if I do all of this, the situation was good, but again, we're in the quest to simplify
This is my life,
Next.js.
dealing with Edge.
HTMX
So
mind cannot
this is where we're
comprehend
going
what
to
I'm
end up.
looking
We're going
at.
to end up in a fast initial visual, fast dynamic visual, and great DX. And I'm happy to announce today that we're introducing a technology in
I've been
preview
asking
to
for
make
this for 2
possible.
years.
And it's called
I have so much
partial
documentation
pre-rendering.
of me explaining to
Partial
Dan
pre-rendering
Abramov why
is a
this is
technology that
necessary.
gets activated at build time, and it works into the Next.js compiler.
Nice.
So what happens is this. When you build your Next.js project, we will extract a static shell for each entry point of your application, including all of your dynamic pages. In this phase, Next.js can extract all the static parts and pre-render them. So for example, here I'm pre-rendering the logo of the page, the navigation. And very interestingly, I'm also able to pre-render the fallbacks of the dynamic slots of the page.
This is so good.
So notice here I have this banner that I'm reserving for a promotion that is tailored to each visitor. And of course, I have my cart and my profile picture. So those are the personalized parts. What Next.js can do is it can give you this shell immediately and then stream in the dynamic parts. If we look at it from the lens of the experiment that we
so
looked
hyped for
earlier,
this change.
we can see now I can get my initial visual as fast as static. And then the server starts streaming, and there are no waterfalls. Most importantly, this is really easy, and I didn't have to learn or adopt any new APIs. It's a win, win, win. We all win.
I love winning.
So having accomplished
Do you love
this,
winning?
again, this technology is in preview.
do.
You're going
I
to be able
love
to test
money.
it really
Do you
soon.
love money?
You're
do you
gonna
like
be able to
money?
ship
Do you like
this stream,
HTML
what we
though?
call
I love
dynamic at the
HTML.
speed of static. Not having to
Especially
worry
put a
about
little HTMX on
runtimes
top
nor
of
Or
it.
regex.
HTMX, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's recap what we covered today.
Warren said he's taking a shot every time
With our
HTMX is
refocused
mentioned,
effort
so let's
on
try
the
and kill
NextJS
him.
compiler,
My goal
we're
was to
seeing
kill him.
an amazing
Perfect.
new baseline of performance, while
Every time
also
what is
doubling
mentioned?
down on
HTMX.
correctness and reliability.
What?
With over 5,000 tests passing,
HTMX?
which amount
Is
to
he
over
dead?
90% of our test suite.
I'll call Mrs. Buffering.
Number two, we have this incredible new Next.js Learn
Tell her
course
sorry.
that not only teaches the fundamentals of Next.js and the app router, but it extends into databases and auth and everything you need to build a production-ready app. Server actions are now stable, which means that you can mutate data with the native React data model. So this was the missing piece of the entire
Nice.
architecture. So we're really happy to make
Can you
it
still
stable.
accidentally leak stuff via actions?
They
And
now
last but
are
not
encrypted
least,
when
with
you do
partial
that.
pre-rendering,
So
Okay,
they
that's
still
awesome.
pass things
Dream
into
of
the
dynamic
form,
at the speed
but
of
they're encrypted by default.
static without
What
having
I
to
assume
learn
it's like is it like
any
a
new
mangling?
APIs.
Like how's the encryption? We can
go in
You can
deep on that
upgrade to
later.
Next.js 14
Also, Taint helps a lot with those things.
today,
Oof.
or head to nextjs.org.
The Taint helping with encryption. That's
14
everything I've
to
ever
learn
wanted to
about
say
all
in
this
one
great
sentence.
improvements.
I am really hyped. Partial pre-rendering is a bit niche, but it's specifically my niche.
Yeah.
And people, I
And of
just saw the
course,
question in
we're not
chat, what is the use of the CDN if the pre-rendering takes place? The pre-rendered asset gets put in the CDN. So previously, I'd make a request to the server. If it's a Lambda, it has to spin up. It has to generate the first response, send that to me, and then stream in the rest. Effectively, what this is doing is it's taking that first response the server sends and throwing that on the CDN. So the CDN gives you the first bytes immediately.
Very
and
cool.
then things kick up in the background. Then it streams in the rest because they're doing that themselves on their own edge.
And then every time you make a change, it just auto invalidates the cache
Yes.
of the CDN. And
Yep.
as long as you don't be stupid and sneak in user data, you got yourself a really nice little. Oh, I like that. That's
Yeah.
great. That's a great idea.
Yeah, and the way it works is from any suspense down, that will now be streamed and dynamic. Anything above the suspense is by default now static, which is huge.
That's a W,
yet-
Madison.
There's more
The what?
from Next.js
Double
coming in the
U.
future.
Just like
First,
HTMX.
we've heard your feedback
W.
about how caching
Sure
in
plays
Next.js
W
has
with
gotten
X.
really powerful and really flexible, but you want to see
That would make you
simplifications
want to
there too.
happy.
And we hear you. The power of TurboPack and our Rust-based compiler will not just be for development mode, and it's also coming to production builds. I'm really excited about how much faster production builds will get, and how much work we can reuse that has gone into the efforts in the compiler so far. And most
The
importantly,
production build is actually a big part that Vite doesn't do because Vite still uses rollup for its production builds. And their solution is they're rewriting rollup in Rust now.
Of a Next.js
I saw
application.
that roll down.
Yep.
These
Now,
nuts.
let's get into the
Got 'em.
rest of
God
Next.js
damn it,
Conf.
Mark.
You're
God
going to
damn it,
hear
Prime.
from our community.
How many times
You're
is
going to
that
hear from
gonna
our
happen
technology
today?
partners, visit their booths here in
Not
SF.
many times.
You're going to hear
Really?
That
about
was a good
all the
time.
success
That was a
of our
good one.
customers.
That was a good one.
So thank you so much and enjoy the conference.
Let's go. That's actually some pretty good stuff. I really like that partial pre-render stuff.
Yeah, it's very exciting. I have literally been asking for 2 years for that specifically to happen, and we got it. Woo. When's the next thing?
That was a ringing endorsement, Theo.
Yes.
Woo.
Woo.
I
Yeah, that was so much enthusiasm.
I may have been
I am
I may have been
ecstatic.
reading the GitHub commits to Next lately to see when that was going to happen, and yeah, I have been very excited to see they finally did
You
that.
want to come in?
Are we letting Trash in?
I'm just
Let's
kidding.
ask chat.
Trash, come.
One's for Trash to join us.
Oh my gosh, he's actually getting up.
No, I saw his hand. You get that hand out of here. We're not ready yet.
You're gonna have
There's
to
a
drag him
couple
over.
ones.
We got a 0 from buffering.
Fine. Seeing enough ones. I guess that we'll let Trash in for a
There you
bit.
go.
Your drink.
God damn it.
Nice catch, turtleneck Mark. You're lucky I didn't finish
Turtleneck
off your normal name with that one, okay? It would have rolled right out.
Is my mic on?
Yes.
Yeah, it is. Hey,
Oh.
baby.
Hello?
I don't know how to use technology. Hello?
So
Just realize
that's
that it's
where
like
microphones go.
we're like a cell service here.
Ooh,
We're a little thick in the middle, I'd say.
I can't even read the chat. It's so tiny.
I did my best.
You can't read that?
Sorry, I didn't see you there.
Too small. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah. How are we feeling about the announcements, y'all?
I couldn't hear it.
Oh, sorry.
I heard no, I'm just kidding. I saw it. It was good. It was good. So I missed it. So there's Next 14 with no new APIs. Is
Yep.
it just were they focusing on just more?
Stability, Turbo Pack, and the pre-render stuff.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, the pre-render stuff is huge. Do you know
The
anything
partial
about that?
pre-rendering
Yeah.
stuff's gonna be sick. Yeah.
I think you were in one of the Twitter spaces where I was trying to explain to Dan Abramov why this was important.
Hey.
That was like over a year ago.
Oh yeah, that was a long time
Yeah.
ago.
It was like trying to
My
I
boy
explained
Dan.
cold starts and Lambda to poor Dan because he just doesn't know enough about the infra side. And I was trying to explain to him, like, the new model's great, except my page feels slower because you're stuck on that white loading page for longer. Even if everything else is measurably faster, that felt bad enough that it wasn't always worth it. And with the new model, I don't worry about that at all. Like, I'm actually going to stop shipping on Edge now because I don't need to, because I still get the main benefit of a fast time to first load that I was missing.
Wait, are you all Edge on
Yes.
upload thing?
Yep. Except for the things that hit S3 because getting the AWS SDK to work
Edge.
outside
He's
of
an Edge
Node
lord.
is impossible.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Edge, by the way.
Edge Master.
Edge, by the way.
Public edging, really.
Yes. We're doing our best. Public and private edging.
Does this have sound?
Dang. Yeah,
Yes.
that has sound. That way you can monitor your voice.
I mean, yeah, it doesn't sound so cool.
Is this what it's like to be a content creator?
Yeah, you wouldn't know.
You don't have
I
this?
know. I definitely don't know.
But you don't monitor yourself? Oh,
The
what a loser.
self-monitoring-
I'm like, chat, can you hear me? All right,
Self-monitoring was like the best thing I ever did for my content. It's how I learned how to talk. Like, I was so bad at public speaking and recording and stuff until I started listening to myself. And I only did that because I was editing myself and I sucked when I was editing. It's like, I can't chop this into a usable video. I sounded like shit this whole time. I was way too far away from the mic. So I started self-monitoring until I got good enough, and now I don't.
Cool. Sounds like me about every time.
Yeah, I was about to say, this is a trash experience here.
Guys,
so.
we're in perfect order from tallest to shortest in
Yeah.
a row,
I
starting
cannot
with
believe
you.
you missed
Look at
that
this.
entire conversation
Probably
earlier.
about the
Yeah, I
Look
made
at
the
that.
joke that we're
But
like
when we
self-service.
stand up. Okay, Madison, you do have giant heels on, so you might be taller than me when we
We're
stand
sitting.
up.
The heel
I know,
doesn't
but
factor.
I look
am
extremely
short on the top side.
next
Okay, I'm tall on the bottom side. Okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to be short, you guys.
How does the startup feel about its CEO not being within the like 6'1" plus of CEOs?
Here's the deal,
that a
okay? You
requirement?
know, I've told this to a lot of people. When I was a young kid and all my family is like 6'4" and tall, I felt in my body a 6'5" spirit. Okay.
You identify as 6'5".
I identify as 6'5", but unfortunately, I didn't make it there. But I still feel it deep down. You know.
I'm 6'3", so I'm taller than you.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, Trash, you're
crazy.
6'3". Gosh, I'm Goliath then.
Yeah, tries in a
Shorty.
really short chair.
Trash is in the tiniest of chairs. You heard him.
I'm actually standing on a stool right now.
I love how much people actually really want to know how tall Theo is compared to Prime. Like, I see this all the time on Twitter.
Yeah.
He's
I-
like a good
Everyone
3
wants to
inches
know.
taller than me, right?
I know you guys, but I'm never
How
gonna
tall
tell.
are you?
We don't share this info publicly. Don't
Yeah,
dox,
we're not
right?
talking about this.
Okay, fair.
I'm 6'4".
Damn, 6'4".
Yes, I'm actually tall.
It's a good height.
I know. Imagine if he was actually good at basketball.
Prime, you're pretty tall too, though.
I'm like 6 foot
Yeah,
and some
pretty tall.
change.
Are you?
I think you're 6'1".
Okay, now you're just complimenting me. I appreciate that, Madison, making me feel good about
Yeah.
myself.
Bash is taller than me. I can confirm.
Bash is like 6'12".
Yeah, it's insane.
I met
Wait,
Bash
really?
for the first time at
6'13".
TwitchCon.
Yeah, you did meet Bash. I met you too.
Wait, is she as tall
First
as me?
time.
Because I'm super tall.
Yeah.
No, she's not actually
Nice
as
to
tall
meet
as
you.
you.
You're a beautiful man.
Sorry.
You're the tall
Sorry,
one.
Bash
Don't worry.
Money. I wanna be
You've earned
taller.
your credit.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It feels
It's not even the
weird
heels.
doing this experience that we're doing right here, and then looking up and there's like 100
Yeah.
people.
Just an actual conference going
Yeah.
on around us
There's
as
an-
we do this.
A literal conference.
And we're ignoring
Literally,
them.
the
You're like on
president
your
of the United
computer,
States is right there.
not talking to anyone.
I'd say it's having
where's
the
Guillermo?
velvet rope in front of us that makes it even better. Please don't come near this.
Yeah.
Experience.
They swapped it from the red to the black momentarily, or like a few moments ago, and I was like, oh, I felt like the red made us cooler.
Why would they take away the red?
I don't know. Actually, I know why, because it's Versailles. Everything's black and white. I was so surprised with the blue banner up there. I was like, why are they doing that? That's like a huge brand shift for them.
What
Why
is-
are they doing a
what does
blue
it mean?
banner?
I don't know. Something's changing. I'm scared.
Because everything else is
The
black.
Lambo was blue too. Did you notice that?
Yeah, but that's PHP.
But are they?
Oh, is this them embracing
Oh.
PHP? Is that how they announced PHP on
Yeah.
Vercel?
The blue means something. I don't know.
The blue means something. We got ourselves a theory. I like this. DHH has been personally working with them.
Yes, that's what I heard.
He drove up in the Lambo.
Yeah. It says Lambo.
Yeah, D and B, they're about 2 letters apart in the alphabet. That's pretty close.
That's close. We're pretty much there.
Yeah.
And
we're
if
right
you
there.
take a B and you remove the bottom part of it, you get a P, which stands for PHP. Like that's pretty
A
much.
capital B, a capital B. Okay,
That's
okay,
capital
okay.
B.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
just like PHP. It's capital P.
It's a lowercase p.
I mean, really, where you draw the baselines, whether it's capital or lowercase p, if you think about it.
I was picturing a lowercase b, and I was like, that doesn't work, Prime, at all.
God
The
damn it,
thing's
Prime.
going upside down.
Let me quickly check. Oh, wow, we're doing great on viewers. I'm not getting like Prime numbers right now. Damn, 1.2K.
Oh, nice. I announced in the Discord.
HTMX numbers?
That
I
works.
got the DGen Legion in here.
Yeah, DGen Legion. One's for the DGen Legion. Let's see you in chat.
Yeah.
Do you all even know what Vercel is?
If you are a part of the DGen Legion, press 1.
That's a lot of ones.
Let's go. Let's
I see
go,
the
DGens.
Tejagens here too.
The Tej is not
Is
a
he
DGen.
going to react to
Tejagens?
us reacting
Oh.
to this for the channel?
Sorry I didn't get back to you.
He should.
Yeah. We should probably talk about Next at least once.
Yeah. What's
Uh,
next?
Next is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's decent. Trash, I know you're actually using App Router for
I am.
stuff,
My
right? How's
talk
that
is
been?
shilling Next.js so hard.
Good stuff.
1127 PT, by the way.
Want to give us a spoiler for that?
Yeah, tell us
Yeah,
more.
spoil us.
I just say what I like about it, and I'm not going to spoil it.
Did you say what you don't like about it?
There wasn't enough time. We only got 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Trash, give
can
us a
only say
teaser.
so
much.
Give us like a
Jesus.
teaser.
I had like sketched
Trash,
out
just
like
the
a
tip, come
15,
on.
20-minute talk and then learned it was 10 minutes and like had to chop a bunch of stuff. But
Yeah,
the result's
I
a
went
much
over.
more concise thing.
Yeah. I went over
Yeah.
and I was like, I wanted to say like the bad parts, but I was saying so many good things, wink, wink. You know?
Yeah. Maybe that's actually why they made it so short, so there wouldn't be enough room for the negative.
What was the wink?
I
If
wink?
that's the- that's the
I
real
think that's the
conspiracy.
strategy.
I didn't. Yeah, wink, wink.
We
I
figured
didn't
it
get
out.
that reference.
Maybe next year I do my talk on what I didn't like.
Yeah. Do you know what my talk is?
I
Yours
think you
is,
just named his talk.
Wasn't like how to do things the wrong way, right?
It's cursed patterns Vercel won't tell you about.
There you go. I'm pretty sure I'm doing all those.
Yeah, I promise you
That's
you're
all
not.
Watch my talk
programming.
for bad
I
patterns.
promise you, you're not doing any of these. There's some deep cursed shit that like
Okay,
isn't
okay.
publicly known that
There
I
you go.
found for this talk. I'm very proud of it.
So
There's
it's
a little.
things patterns you should avoid doing as
Yeah,
Robert.
I won't endorse or
Oh, that's
unendorse these opportunities. I'm not saying you shouldn't use them. I'm definitely not saying you should though. Yeah.
and they're cursed.
Yeah, they're incredibly cursed. Did you know you can use a function generator as a server component and yield results down the stream?
That's interesting.
It's really bad. It is really fun.
Is that bad?
How did you find this out?
Isn't that just
somebody who works on NextJS told me about it?
I was
isn't
like,
that
you're
just like a
looking
4-weight?
at-
Don't they
What?
just 4-weight the function?
It's so you're awaiting in the body of the like component when you render it, but you're yielding up different results over time.
Yeah, yeah.
And
That's
in
whatever the
line
thing is on the
replaces it.
outside, it's just assuming it's an async iterator then, right?
Yeah, but I don't want to know how it works under the hood in terms of the actual because that the async iterator that part makes sense on the server, but now we're streaming the results to the client, and the client is dynamically updating the HTML on a given component.
Sounds complicated.
One example would be like you have a sign up component, and it renders once you hit sign up. It says, okay, we're authenticating with the server, we're creating your account, we're linking, and you could send the server up. The server could send updates to the component as it does each step. Very cursed. You shouldn't use it, but it's cool that it works.
I like it.
You know, generator, like the thing that powers your house when your power goes out.
I actually have a generator
That's why I'm looking at you. I know you
Yeah.
have a generator.
because I don't live in the city. I live on a range.
It's true.
How's the
Yeah.
well, by the way?
The well is fixed. They had to drill 700 feet to achieve water. But I'm not going to lie to you guys, I have a strong flow. 100 gallons a minute. Okay, I don't know if you've experienced such flows
like
in your
almost-
life.
They actually measure that?
Yeah, that'd be
how do I find out mine?
The world's shittiest well ever would be like, we dug a well, there's water, I don't know. It could be fast, slow. I don't know. We didn't even check.
My
So what's
childhood
the
well was like
speed?
12 feet down.
Yeah, that's because you live in a normal. I live on a hill.
Wells are a little bit scary when you're a kid, right?
Yeah.
They're very scary. They're very.
And they're very expensive when you're prime.
Your kids might be kind of scary.
What the hell
Right?
are you
When
talking?
you were a little kid, wells were very creepy.
Are-
Like, you could fall
She's
into
talking like
one.
an actual well.
Are you talking about like an
the
old-fashioned
ring.
one
That's
that-
exactly
Yeah.
what she thinks.
No, this is like a tube in the ground that
Oh
goes
yeah, I
700
saw your
feet.
post.
If,
Yeah.
if there was a hole in the ground that went 700 feet down, I would
Well,
fence
well.
that.
Prime, your kids are gonna fall in the
If your
well.
kids fall, they're gonna fall for like 15 minutes before they hit the ground.
I saw your post. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's literally just a metal rod.
But actual well is really creepy.
I
Okay.
feel like if I saw a well, there'd be part of me that would want to go into the well.
Yeah, you gotta
to
find
see
out.
if there
But
is
I could
a
see you
little
having a well
hole
because
that
you're
I
always
could
like,
crawl
I
into.
live on a ranch away from the city. I could see you having
I
one of
got
the
one of
old
those.
weird wells.
Yeah, it's not it's a weird it's a good time. It's a weird flex to say I have my own well, but I do.
Okay, I'm not crazy. That timer is moving way too fast, right?
You're on 2x.
I'm not on 2x. I am on live right now.
Life is on 2x.
What's next?
It does look like it's moving alarmingly fast.
Yeah, I think we're just getting old and time's now moving faster.
That is definitely
No,
3x.
that's not how it works. When you get older, the days are long, but the years are short.
Well, right
When
now
you're
the seconds
young,
are short.
The
so.
days are short,
I
or
don't
the
know what
days
you're
are
talking about.
long and the years are long.
Thank you, Prime, for this philosophy moment.
I'm old.
So we know.
We should talk about the philosophy, this history stuff we were talking
Nope.
about.
No, we're not talking about nothing.
Something Prime doesn't want to talk about?
No, it's
What
just
is it?
it's just that I was giving people little history lessons over Twitch. It's not a big deal, okay? As you get older, you find yourself reading history and then explain. Okay, we're not talking about the Roman Empire, all
How
right?
about
That's
this?
just what's
Yeah.
happening
Have
right
you
now.
ever got head kicked to the face?
God damn it.
Have you? Can you please tell me? We need an answer right now. Head kick to the face.
I'm too tall.
Yeah,
I mean,
no
head kick
one's
to the
leg
nuts
could reach
once or
as
twice.
tall as Theo is. Whose leg could reach that
I
far?
could kick him in the head.
I will let you
Should we try right now?
No, because I would hit you in the head. I would literally head kick your face, and then you'd have to come back on camera.
You could put your leg that far up.
Well,
Like that's flexibility right there.
I am willing
No
to
one said
take
you
the
couldn't
hit to see
jump.
him try.
You can do a kick jump?
You can do a jump.
I didn't realize that head kick implied a
Kick and
jump.
jump? That's backwards.
I don't know.
I'm gonna kick jump you in the face.
that's it. I'm kidding.
Honestly, okay,
kick
wait,
head
hear me out. I've been watching Prime stream for so long that I say everything weird. I pronounce everything weird. Jason, you know what I mean? It's all your fault.
How do people at work feel when you say squeal?
They just look at me like,
They're proud, I assume. They're like, hell yeah.
you know what we could talk about is the discourse that's been happening recently. But I don't want to say the word. 'cause
Oh no, which
I'm a
discourse?
lady. I'm a lady.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know what it's about. I haven't looked into it. The T word.
My
The
favorite
T word. I
API.
haven't looked
I
into
can-
it yet.
I can
but
break down the taint.
I don't know what
I'm
it
an
is.
experienced
I saw your
tainter.
video, but
What
I've
does
been
it look
busy
like?
getting ready for this.
Yeah.
So give it to me in like 30
it's the
seconds.
space
tell
between
me.
the server and the client. So
Okay.
the best I can TLDR it is when server
yeah.
component or the servers have data. Some of that data is sensitive. Sometimes you want to fetch that data and not give it to the client. You want to be sure, like when you fetch a user from database, that their auth token or their phone number doesn't make it to the client unless you explicitly choose for it to.
Yeah.
So you can mark that object as tainted. So now when you try to send it to the client, you'll get an error that prevents it from going there. So in order to actually get that data to the client, you have to manually unfurl the keys that you want to. So instead of passing user to a client component and accidentally sending a bunch of data you don't want to, you would pass user.username and user.email or whatever, but you have to specify what to pass instead of accidentally sending data you don't want to the client.
Okay. But you were like involved with the taint somehow, right?
Yes, I started
How
the taint
so?
discourse.
Were you
Because I
taint
was
adjacent?
or
were you in the taint?
I was deep in the taint.
Okay. Okay.
I go hard in the motherfucking taint.
I get
There's
it.
so many jokes I want to make. I can't.
Trash, come on.
You can, Tan. It's
Yeah.
trash.
Not only was I-
You make the most bizarre jokes on your stream, and now you're holding back.
Yeah, you do.
This
Yeah.
isn't mine. This is a for sale stream, isn't it?
Yeah, not only was I deep in the taint, I was deep in the taint on an airplane. I was on the plane getting ready to fly home from Vegas.
The taint plane?
And I saw a Security and Next article came out, and I was reading through it. And I scroll pretty far, and I just see the word experimental taint in the blog post, and I realized I have to make a meme before this plane takes off. So I go off airplane mode right before we're flying out, screenshot, post the tweet, airplane mode again. Have no idea what the response is until 2 hours later when I land. It is blown up.
That's pretty great.
It was
That's
wonderful.
what happened. And then I saw it everywhere.
Yep.
Everyone was tweeting
Yeah,
about it.
I started the taint discourse.
Wait, hold on. Are you telling me that your Twitter timeline got tainted?
Yes.
It did, but I didn't want to look into it. I just thought
Okay.
you could tell me here, you know?
Yeah, okay.
I see
didn't
so
wanna
many
tweet about
people
it.
I want to
Couldn't
pull
bring
in to
myself to.
chat for a bit, which means I think we have to say goodbye to Trash and replace him with
Wait till you
someone
pull
else.
someone.
Yeah, get the
Yeah.
hell
Get
out
them.
How
of here.
about Tanner?
Get them.
Tanner,
Tanner.
want to come on and chat?
Tanner.
No? Come on, do
Tanner.
it. Take a spot. He's not real.
Bye,
Do you guys do
everybody.
we
I
need to
love
scoot
you.
this way, or
We can.
Bye, trash.
Yeah,
Should
we can
scoot
scoot a
little?
tiny bit. Yeah.
Bye, trash.
See, look at this. I'm massively shorter than you until we sit back down. Now I'm shorter than you.
Oh, I'm caught.
Wanting so hard to be taller than me.
What's up?
Hello.
Howdy.
I love that you have a shirt with your name on it.
Part of it.
I have one of the original
part of
Tan
my-
Stack shirts, and I feel so bad not wearing it because I never wear T-shirts. I promise you I wear it around the house all the time, though. So for those who don't know, this is Tanner Lindsley, creator of Tan Stack. We know him mostly for React Query, but also for every other helpful library in the React ecosystem, React Table, React Location, now known as Tan Stack Router, and some really cool stuff with forms coming. Love to
The
hear
Taninator.
what you did. You watch the keynote? What were your thoughts?
I was there. I watched it. It's about what I expected. Improving on performance and improving on existing APIs. So,
Good stuff.
yeah, I think it's great. I mean, it's always nice to see no like breaking changes.
Yes.
Last year I was like,
All the things,
Yep.
bro.
So as a library author, this conference does not scare you more, thus far at least.
yeah, I mean, like that's exactly what I want to hear. It's just like let me keep building cool things on things that will never change.
Awesome. How are you feeling about server actions, especially over in the form world?
I mean, we're excited about it. I was just working with Corbin last night on like this cool little factory that's going to let you use TanStack Form to do all of your client-side validation, and then with just a few like changes in code, you just move all that onto the server with server actions, and you get validation on the client and on the server. You can split between the two and like do optimistic stuff on the client, and then do like the mission critical stuff on the server. And it's just really transparent. I like it. So
That's really cool to hear. I feel like a lot of people have tried to solve forms, but all of the attempts have focused on a very specific like sliver of the problem, and nobody's really cohesively solved it. All the parts are starting to really be there now, though. And what's exciting for me with TanStack Forms, it feels like the first time where like the considerations of what React needs, of the validation layer, and that needs to be on server and client, and then the actual method that we post to the server. Like, you're figuring out all three at once, which is cool.
yeah, and we're trying to keep it like nice and isolated. I use Remix. I'm trying to make sure that we could do the same thing for them. And I also have a large application that doesn't use either. Trying to port that as far back into my server as possible. You know, the Golang guys on my team, like, you know, they're like, hey, you stop right there.
Yeah.
So being able to do as much as I can on the client is also a good thing as well.
So you can't
Sound
run
like good
Zod and
teammates,
Golang?
though. Golang.
Yeah. What was that?
You can't run Zod and Golang?
Wouldn't that be great?
Wouldn't it be great?
You don't
Yeah.
do Zod and Golang because it already has a type system.
Yeah, for us, so we use buff build. We
Got
use
'em.
gRPC.
Checkmate, atheist. Just use a language with the type system.
No, we're using protocol buffers with
Yep.
buff build.
Love
so
protocol
it's
buffs.
actually type safe across the wire, which is great. But like the validation stuff could always be better.
Yeah.
And buff build has some really cool things around validation that like they could support Zod as an official validating schema on their client generation. So
Nice.
they've already generated clients that use React Query, so you can actually generate a React Query client
my
based
camera got
on your protocol buffers. It's pretty sweet.
We just want Tanner. We are annoying, but
Especially
back.
like the proto spec too, where it's
It's
like
back.
Okay.
trying
that's
to be
good.
Okay.
append only.
We're back.
and
Sorry,
Trying to
y'all.
help you not break things.
Look
Like,
at all
some
the
of it's
Fs.
annoying, but I love it.
yeah. You're
Cool.
like one of the only people in the JavaScript world that likes proto buffs.
I
Don't say it
know.
around Theo. He
Yeah,
Are
I
we
gets,
back
know.
on
I-
YouTube
I-
as well?
he gets like hot and bothered.
Are we also
Really?
back on YouTube, guys?
Yeah.
Camera isn't quite right. Let me continue
Do you know,
adjusting.
you're
I think
using
we're live again.
OBS 29. Did you know on OBS 29 you cannot do stinger transitions? I have to stream with two OBSs at this current moment. I have an OBS 28 for all my scenes that streams into OBS 29, and then I use OBS 29 to
So you
stream
have
out to
two
streams.
instances of OBS open
And two
at the
different
same
versions.
time?
Yeah, two different versions.
And nothing goes out of sync though?
No.
Internet went down. It seems to be back again.
It's good times.
For the streamer illiterate, what is a stinger transition?
That's where, you know, like imagine if we would have pre-planned this and there'd be like
We're good now, yeah.
and there's like a triangle that just jumps onto the screen and then
Yeah.
comes off and then we're in a new thing. Now what it'd do is the triangle would come on, and it'd come off, and then it'd sit there black for like 3 seconds, and then it would transition.
Fun.
OBS 29.
All right.
On the topic
Hashtag
of transitions, the next talk is starting, and I would like to transition to watching that if we're cool with that.
Yep.
Yeah, I gave Sam a lot of shit in my last video, so I need to watch his talk and see if we still disagree. So I'll knock that playback speed up so we can catch up. Unmute so we can actually hear it.
All right. My name is Sam Selikoff, and I'm excited to be talking to you
go.
about, well, Next and React today. And some of the things that Guillermo talked about in the keynote are actually a nice little tee up for my talk, because what I'm going to be talking about is how a lot of these improvements and innovations
did
we've
I
gotten
cut
in Next in the
Tanner off
last
on the
year
camera? God damn it.
are really delivering on
It's
React's
fine.
vision for the future.
Oh, no, I didn't. It's
So
'cause this is...
when
we
I
go.
first heard about
Grab
React
that.
server components,
Ta-da.
I was really excited because I was excited that we were finally getting a first-class way to do data fetching in React. This is a great video, and Sebastian and Andrew kind of trace the history and the evolution of server components and suspense, and how server components are basically data fetching for suspense. And we were all kind of waiting for a first-class way to do data fetching in React apps so that we could all stop kind of using our own solutions. We could have things that work together. And server components is basically what we got. But when I first heard about this, I was a little skeptical, because there's a lot I like about fetching data in the client. My use SWR hook, does this mean I can't use this anymore? You know, when you get an SPA set up with a hook like use SWR or use query on the client, there's a lot of really nice things that fall out from this. You get to drop this in your component. It can render a loading state and fetch data. It can revalidate. It can populate a client-side cache so that subsequent navigations are really fast. And so I was a little bit skeptical, but I knew that APIs come to React with a lot of thought, and so I kind of withheld judgment until I saw something that really stuck with me, and that was this. This is a server component. It fetches data
It's Squeal.
right inside of the component boundary.
You're making a meme on your phone.
It has a
your
direct handle to
favorite
the
part?
database to fetch data, but then it renders a component inside of a modal.
He is.
And this modal does all sorts of cool stuff on the client. It comes up from the bottom,
Not making a meme.
and it renders our news story inside of it, and it attaches click listeners to keyboard events like escape that we can press to close it. So I didn't know what it was at the time, but
I hate
this
modals,
somehow
by the
struck
way.
me as more React than any code I had written before
They're the
that
worst.
accomplished everything that this component did.
They ruin
And
URLs.
so
Ruin
it's
it.
kind of what started getting me excited for this new
I have
paradigm in
So-
React.
I should
So,
preface this with the thing
why is
that
this-
Sam and I disagree on. He thinks that the core value, the thing that we should be talking about whenever we talk about server components, is the new data fetching patterns. That's the one thing he thinks matters, and everything else is implementation details. And he's upset that I mentioned the HTML side as much as I do.
I think the HTML side's a much greater drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes me more excited about what's happening.
Yeah.
Why
This
is it
is-
a greater drive? Like, what do you mean?
Because that's what I think servers should be doing. I'm an HTMX to work, okay?
Yeah, it's
I'm on
Yeah.
team
the,
HTML.
one of the big problems with the existing server-side rendering models is that you can render the HTML that the server, like that the client will have on the server, but in order for the client to catch up, it then has to have all the same JavaScript that it has to rerun in order to synchronize the client in the server. So if you have a component that's a gigantic 10,000 line of code file, that component needs to be that JavaScript needs to be on the client as well. With server components, you can run that component on the server and then send the result of it to the client,
Yeah.
rather than having to send the JavaScript as well. So
you
actually
also
have-
reduce a huge amount of clients, because with traditional server-side rendering, you have your entire application plus special server nodes, and then you have to somehow wiggle that into the client version of this same thing, and then you have all those two states sitting there, and you have to keep everything in sync. And so you just come up with just horrendous amounts of code just to keep these two things in sync. Or that's why I at least like the idea, is that it reduces that to such a smaller
Yes.
points. And that makes me much happier
Yes.
in my emotional spots. The taint.
Yeah.
We talked about
Exactly.
it earlier.
So let's
I knew it
hear.
would come up again.
You knew what.
Let's hear why Sam disagrees with us.
Feel more like React than stuff that we've had in the past. Well, let's talk about React. What do we like about React? Well, a lot of people say it feels like playing with Legos. It's fun and it's easy to use, and it feels like Legos. Well, let's talk about Legos.
Feels
Why
like
do people like
stepping
Legos?
on Legos. Let's go.
Legos come in all different sorts of shapes and sizes and colors, but they can all be broken down to a single interface, right? It's a brick that has tubes and studs, and you can snap them into each other.
They're called studs?
And that's it. That is all you need to
Me
know
and my kids call
to
them
build
nipples.
basically anything you want. You can start snapping Legos together, and you can get smaller pieces into bigger pieces. You can snap those big pieces into each other, and you can keep going until you have what you want. And I think this story is really what people like most about React, what we love about building with React, because it feels very similar. We can start with a news story, and we can decide to put it in a modal that has all sorts of cool behavior. We can add a few more news stories, and we can wrap those in a carousel. And so what we're really talking about here is a story of composition. Composability is really what makes building UIs like this so easy and fun. But this only applies to kind of the UI side of the app equation, right? These modals and carousels are really nice and tidy and composable, but this news story, it needs data, right? So how do we get data into this news story? Well,
Gently.
if I was using SWR, I might do something like this. Drop my use SWR hook in and hit an endpoint to fetch some data. And if we're waiting on the query, we'll return a loading state. Otherwise, we'll render the data.
I have a gripe already.
Not that there's anything wrong
So
with
this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
He's a letter. He's not a conster. He's coming from the Ryan Florence world of everything should just
boy.
be let.
Oh, interesting. Why is that? Can you explain that to me just so I understand
Because
that?
maybe I want to mutate data.
That can't be the only reason.
That's
why.
his only reason.
That's the only reason.
Yeah, it's because technically const isn't really const because you can modify a key on the object, so you should just use let everywhere and be honest.
Well, no, it's a constant reference.
Yes. Yeah.
We need const so we can have a constant reference to a constant.
Right.
You are correct. This is a Ryan Florence problem.
Really?
It's a just in case I
Yeah.
want to change something when I'm a little further down the file. I don't want to go back and change it.
Yeah, and it's less characters to
I'm a
type let
const.
instead
No,
of const.
I
conster,
gotta
so-
hit there. I know there's a better. I know
There
there's
isn't.
a better answer.
There actually isn't. I've
Ryan
tried
Florence,
so hard.
If you're listening, tweet me the
He's
better
not
answer.
listening.
He could be listening.
You know
okay?
what? I'll answer for Ryan.
This will
He'll
make
say,
it to
I'm
him.
typing 3 characters instead of 4. Deal
Yeah.
with it.
Well, the fact that you typed 4
5.
for const makes me a little emotional, a little bruised emotionally right now. However you figured that out, let me know because this sounds exciting.
Drop this into my component, render a news story, and if we refresh the
var.
page here, we'll throw the news story in a page. Refresh the page, we see the loading spinner, and then we see the data. So this is nice, but we want to server render this page, and so if we're only fetching on the client, we can't do that. Maybe we want to use some of this data in an OG tag for a server rendered page, or maybe we just want to server render it for all the benefits that Guillermo was talking about. So if we want to server render this component, then we
In a
can't
modal.
use something like SWR.
talking to here.
But we're next
In a
developers, right?
modal.
So we have get
A
server-side
modal.
props.
They want
So let's use
yeah.
get server-side props to build out this. And this is
Let's
going to be a
put
function that runs
modal
the server,
content
lets
in
us
the OG
read our
tags.
data and return it.
HTML.
And this is all going to happen before we start rendering on the client so that we can get the data to our news story. And to do this, we only need to make a few changes.
Oh, he's
We are
raw
going to
dogging
pass
some
that data
squeal. Let's
through
go.
the page. And that
It's
means
a
we need to give
template,
it
it's
to our
not
news
raw.
story. So instead
I
of just
know.
rendering a news story, we're going to give it the
Be
data from
careful,
the
you're
article,
going to think that
which
we're
means we need to
SQL
make an
injecting
update
in here.
I know.
so that news story gets
They get real
its data.
sensitive about that.
And now we have a server rendered news story component. And if we refresh, we're going to see the browser loading spinner, and then we're going to see the page render. So this is nice. We're rendering on the server, has all sorts of benefits. We see the data right away. The first time news story is rendered, it has its data that it needs in order to display the article. But we've lost something here, right? By making the component accept its data as a prop, it's no longer composable. Because news story now has a dependency on get server-side props, right? Because get server-side props returns the data, and that is needed for news story to work. So if we look back at our earlier example where we had a modal carousel news story, this is not really what we have anymore, right? We now have a modal carousel news story and get server-side props. We've broken the composability of this story, and news story is not composable anymore the way the modal is. If we want to copy a modal or a carousel around our app, all we need to do is copy and paste it. But now every time we copy news story, we have to remember to copy get server-side props. It's something we have to be conscious of. So it's kind of broken this React programming model that we all love. And this is true anytime we add any dependency on a server-side API to our components, right? And the reality is that all of our apps need to interact with server-side APIs and services, whether it's our database or services like Stripe or AWS. Every time we add that to one of our components,
Unarguable.
then the component is not a Lego block anymore. And this is the essential conflict.
It's actually
here.
a mega
On
block?
the one hand, we want the composability of React because it's what makes it fun and easy to use. But on the other hand, we want our apps to talk to external services. They have to, like databases and third-party services. So we want to be able to copy around components, but we can't as soon as they have a dependency on a server-side API.
You don't mix mega blocks.
Or demos.
We have a special shelf
What
just
if
for mega
this is
blocks.
how we rendered
And they're
our
all
news
Halo.
story? But this was a
Halo-based.
server-rendered news story. This is how we could render on the server a news story directly from our database. Well, if that was the case and we wanted to copy news story over to our about page, how do we do that? We just copy and paste it, just like any other component.
Yeah.
And what if we wanted to put it inside of a modal and add a few more news stories and wrap it in a carousel? And this is all still happening on the server. Our news story is still rendering on the server. If we could do that, news story has become a Lego block again, and it has all those benefits that we love about React. So let's take a look at news story. News story is a React server component. It's an async function, and it has a direct handle to a database within the component boundary. Everything it needs is contained. So it's just like our original SWR example because we can just copy and paste it around, but it can be rendered on the server. And we don't need to copy around get server-side props to different parts that need it. So it doesn't need its external data passed in. It has all the benefits of both previous
We know
solutions,
where that's
but
from.
it's back to being a Lego block.
So does this
You
mean?
and Papa
So
Doge.
does
All right,
this
add
mean
another
that
Lego block.
Vercel patch
Recommended reads.
SQL
We'll throw this right
template
below our
tag
news
too
story.
Yep.
to dedupe
And
all
this is
those?
pretty cool. We now have all these recommended reads, and they're all still being rendered on the
Makes
server.
sense.
So when the page is first ready, all the
their
data is there. We
SQL
don't see
tag.
loading
It's
state. We
Vercel
just see
SQL.
all the data.
Is it?
But we're still
Yeah.
playing with Legos. We just drop that into our React tree.
Well, Vercel Postgres is
Now, there's
what
an interesting
they
thing
call
about this page. if we refresh it, it takes a little bit longer to render because both news story and recommended reads are fetching data and rendering. However, the article here, Travis and Taylor, he plays my favorite position in the NFL. He's got a $50 million contract, and well, now he's dating Taylor Swift, so I'm not jealous or anything. Good for him. Good for him. Okay, so the interesting thing about this page is that it takes up the whole browser width, and only when we scroll do we actually see those recommended reads. So wouldn't it be cool if we could defer rendering the recommended reads so that the page could have an initial render that's faster? Well, let's add suspense. So we'll wrap recommended reads.
Guys.
And now if we refresh, we're going to see a faster initial render. And then when you scroll,
immediately notice that?
we'll see the suspense fall back, and then the recommended reads pop in. And all of this is still happening on the server, which is super cool, and it's thanks to Next supporting all of React server-side streaming APIs. And suspense. Suspense feels a lot like a Lego brick, doesn't it? We're still just throwing it into our tree, composing it with all of our other React components. And finally, maybe we can make these recommended reads a little bit bigger and throw them in a carousel, and we can add some animation there. So let's take a look at what we ended up with here.
Can we pause this for one quick second?
Yeah.
It looks like.
So when you're talking about partial pre-renders, how does news story work? Because it's not on a suspense boundary.
Yeah, so
Wouldn't you kind of F it up a little bit?
That would be included in the pre-render. So
yeah, so if you had a URL, okay.
Yeah, so like
have
if
to keep
news
it on the
story
URL.
had like user data in it, for example, then that wouldn't be, or then you would want to wrap that in suspense. Otherwise, the cache thing would be like whatever the user state was on the first hit. But if you suspend everything that is user unique or dynamic reliably, it works, so to speak.
Okay.
And my assumption here would be that the news story is like fetching from database and then rendering HTML based on like whatever it got from the database that represents the contents of that post. This would allow that to be statically cached, and then the recommendations would be streamed in and could be unique to the current reader.
Picked up after the static.
Yes. Got it. Really cool stuff.
Like a very simple React tree, but there's a lot happening. News story and recommended reads are depending on server-side APIs within the component. They're using server-side APIs on the server. And the modal and carousel are using browser APIs. They're using APIs to animate. They're getting references to elements. They are attaching click handlers.
There's actually
listen for
another.
clicking outside of the
go
modal,
back to that
or
because I want
keyboard
to
listeners to
pause
listen
on that
for
slide.
hitting escape to close. So
Is this on
we
1.5x?
have
Yes.
server-only and client-only pieces.
Because
we're
this guy's
very
moving
far
very
behind.
fast.
Yeah, cool. So here,
Let's go to 2.
Crazily flat fast.
this is the thing that literally nothing could do before the new model. People always ask like, but I could do everything with server components that I could do with other stuff. In terms of like the user behaviors and some amount of like the parts of the features, yes. But this concept of interweaving client code that has JavaScript in it, like a modal that necessarily has JavaScript to define its behaviors, and a carousel that necessarily has JavaScript to define its behaviors. But within that, mounting a server component that is fetching data on the server side, this is the magic. You can't do this inside of a client file. So if you have a client file that's marked as use client, you can't mount a server component in it, but you can wrap a server component in a client component, and you can compose in that way. So as long as this page component is on the server, you're able to mount children, and they can have children that are interwoven between server and client components. And you can pass a server component as a prop to a client component.
I honestly am too stupid to understand what you just said.
The basic example I give is,
I got a bit lost here.
Imagine a tab component that has like 3 tabs, and the contents of those tabs are rendered on the server because they're like getting stuff from database. You could have each of those tab components that are fetching that have like await SQL calls in them, and then pass all of those as props to like the tab container. So you could have tab A, tab B, tab C. All of those are server components, and then the tab container itself is a client component that has a use state for which tab you're on.
Okay.
And now the server could send the HTML of all 3 of those tabs to the client, and when you click the button, it's not fetching the data, it's just swapping the HTML that's being shown.
Classic. Okay. By the way, someone asked, is this Prime's wife? No.
I think the other thing he's talking about here too is that you can put the data inside of the components
She's also
themselves.
wrong.
You could do some of that before, but you
Yes.
would have to like split it out into this like get server side props, and then you try and compose the components, and you're like, oh crap, they're missing data. So you have to like
Yes.
you're splitting
Yes.
your efforts between 2 paradigms. Right?
Exactly.
It's very similar. I mean, it's completely different, but it's very similar to like hooks, right?
Yes.
Like you get to put things that move together and change together, right?
Yes.
You don't have to worry about like matching the constraints in some other like disparate file or location.
Yeah, or like wrapping your component with the right 15 hawks in the right order in order to make
Yeah.
sure that it can fetch your GraphQL data correctly.
Mhm.
Yeah, those
Please
days
don't
are
say
over.
hawk. Just,
Hawk.
please,
Just
please.
say HOC.
Is a hawk the exact opposite of HTMX?
I don't want to talk about them because I'm still bruised, okay?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Makes you want to hawk.
Oh my goodness. Debugging. Those things are just the worst.
Let's let Sam talk.
Running in two different places. They're running in a browser, they're running in a server, but in our template, it feels like a single app. The fact that these are running in different worlds hasn't hurt the composability story of this. We're able to write client code right next to server code in a way that still feels like playing with Legos. And this is pretty amazing because usually when we start writing server code to interact with our React app is when it stops feeling like playing with Legos. And we have to use framework-specific APIs to cross that gap. So React has given us the building blocks here to wrap both concerns within the same interface, the React component boundary. And how the heck does this all work? Well, if you look at this, there's a lot happening between these lines in our editor. And Next is taking our server components, running them on the server. It's also route and code splitting all of the client code and the client components and shipping that up to the browser. NextJS is doing all of that for us, effectively running two different apps. But again, from our perspective, it feels like one. So that's pretty cool.
Nice.
And let's talk about one more thing. We'll add one more feature to this little demo app that we have, and that is a bookmark feature. So we have our news story here, and we want to add a bookmark. So let's make a bookmark component in our news story so the user can save it. And let's take a look at bookmark. So bookmark renders a button with a little icon, and when we click on the button, it sends a fetch request to an API endpoint. And the API endpoint is in our next app. It's just a simple API handler here that inserts a bookmark using
That's
the slug
HX
from
get
the request.
HTMX, just so you know.
Now that our news
Okay,
story has a
sure,
bookmark
sure.
inside of it, is it still a Lego block?
Strategy. Replace
Well,
closest div.
It's kind of like a news story plus an API server running somewhere for it to actually work, right? So again, the server-side concerns, the dependency here, has leaked outside of the component boundary. And this is where server actions come in. So if we come here and look at our bookmark, all we need to do is change onClick to form action. And then right here in the action, we can use the server directive, which tells React and tells Next to run this code on the server. And that means instead of calling an API endpoint, we can replace this with the code that was in our API endpoint. It has, again, a direct handle to the database, and it goes ahead and runs that code to insert the new bookmark.
So in other words, they
And
just
so
kind of
server actions
transpile that code
have let us
wherever.
put our API endpoint back into the
and
so
whatever
server actions-
values
Code
that they're
extraction.
using, whatever values they're using in the string, whatever variables are coming from the client, there's some function that will now exist there that's literally call, form,
Yeah.
So-
button, whatever generated name.
It's like
with
R-
some
RPC
value.
compilation.
It's actually
Yeah,
it's
okay,
actually
yeah, yeah,
simpler
yeah,
than
yeah,
that. So this will embed if you had like the value slug or something. This will get embedded as an invisible input in the form for this button, and this click is just posting to a specific endpoint. Well, it's the same endpoint because it's just a default form post, which has to be the same URL. But it uses these invisible fields to figure
Nice.
out which action it's linked to and what variables are missing from that linking. So that will link in the slug and any other values that you're passing in, which lets you, with no JavaScript on the client side, get this all working as expected. And
That
that's
makes sense.
The reason this is valuable is because this is a form action. This isn't an on-click. This doesn't need to send any JavaScript to the client now.
Correct. Yes, it generates JavaScript a touch, right? Because it has to, because you can't just submit any form. It has to be a specific form with the hidden field being correctly filled in, which one generated which action. Right?
Right? It generates the HTML form
Yeah.
with hidden fields in it
Okay, so
that
it
tell
is-
the form, like it tells the endpoint, the generic endpoint, which form it's trying to target.
Oh, interesting. So they even generate a generic endpoint in which it has.
They're changing the HTML spec.
I know this sounds like you're making Falcor
I don't
slash
like
GraphQL
it.
all over again.
I don't like it, but that's just me.
I
Is
think
it a
it's
post or a get?
It's a post.
It's a post.
Okay, that's good.
Yes.
Even though that's definitely.
But like
that's definitely a
dinking
post
around
action.
with form action and like where forms are going scares me.
It's
Yeah,
scary,
'cause
but
you were
it's
just talking about how
exciting.
much you're working on forms right now, and now they're going to be like, fuck that.
Yeah, they're like, oh, by the way, magic.
Yeah, and a bunch of invisible fields. But the way this is working on the server is there's basically a giant switch statement for all the different actions that a given route has. And one of those hidden inputs indicates which of those actions should be run for the current post. That way you could have 15 forms on a page that all have different actions that are supposed to run without needing JavaScript.
Nice. So it's just RPC.
I would
generated
rather
RPC.
have like a function that gives me like a URL endpoint that I could just put onto a normal form.
That's actually what happens if you import a server action in a client component. Because you can export a use server action from a file that's tagged use server, and then when you import those, it is just like Bling. For those who don't know, Tanner was working on a thing called Bling that is a generic RPC layer for server.
You're still working on.
It's coming back.
So hold on. Oh, no, I'm not going to ask you a question now. I have plenty of questions. I too wrote a generic RPC layer once.
Oh, maybe we should chat.
I'm excited for this RPC chat in a bit.
Yes.
But I want to let
to
Sam
the
finish.
database,
It's not
and
too
it
much
goes
time
ahead
left
and
on
runs that
this.
code to insert the new bookmark. And so server actions have let us put our API endpoint back into the component boundary in the same way that server components let us move get server-side props into the component boundary. And so now, news story, in spite of having a server-side mutation, is back to being a Lego block. And so now our tree is back to being a simple tree. It's all encapsulated, and we can copy it around without having to be conscious of any other part that's needed for it to work. So pretty cool. This is basically, I think, the most compelling part of server actions and server components, this new React paradigm, which Next has done a really good job packaging up into Next 13 and the app router over the last year and letting us all try out this new paradigm and figure out what it means for our apps. And basically, we now have the tools to bring any server-side concern inside of the component so that playing with components that have server-side components feels like playing with Legos again. And if you think about it, really like the first 10 years of React could be thought of as having done this for browser APIs, right? In the earlier days of React, there were some times where you'd have a component like a modal that had to render outside the tree so that it could be rendered on top and not inside the current children where the component is rendered. And so you'd have to maybe have some code that added something to the body. Or maybe a component would render and you'd want it to subscribe to a WebSocket service, and so you'd have to write that code somewhere. It wasn't neatly tied up into the component boundary. And over time, we got APIs like portals and useEffect. And now, portals let you just render a modal that's going to be appended outside the tree so that it behaves like a well-behaved modal. And you don't have to think about that. Or you can use effect to subscribe and unsubscribe to WebSocket channels. And so these days, we have this rich ecosystem of React components for all sorts of UI concerns. And we can just drop in a modal or a dialog or a dropdown. And we don't have to think about it because all the implementation details are encapsulated inside of that modal component API, that interface. And now we're basically seeing this happen for our server-side concerns. And so what does this mean kind of going forward? Like, where do we go from here? Now that we can fetch data and write data with server actions inside our component, what's next? And so far, we've really been talking about a local database that we're using for our app.
That's a good
but news story
transition.
and recommended reads, they can't really be reused outside of my app.
I
They're
like
just
the
for my
smell of
domain.
brand new
So
electronic.
things like
really
modal
not run an
dialogues
ad
from libraries
from
like
my
Radix
phone
and React
for
Aria or
stream?
dropdowns, those aren't domain specific.
Can I
Those
run
I
an
just
ad?
grab from NPM these days
Yeah,
and drop
'cause
in
if
my
I don't,
app.
then we
And
get
again, that's some of the
pre-rolls.
most fun and easy parts
Brody.
of what I do. So
Yeah.
Can you pause it for 5
what
minutes?
other parts of our apps talk
Not
to server-side
pre-rolls,
APIs?
no.
Well, when you add Stripe to your app,
I can't do anything.
usually you have to set up
How
an
about
API
we
endpoint.
pause
Maybe it
this?
has some privileged
Let's just
secrets or
pause
API
it.
keys.
Bathroom
Usually
break.
also have to have an API
Run a
endpoint
3-minute
that responds to
ad.
webhook events.
I'm just
Imagine
gonna run
if
off my laptop
adding
quick.
Stripe to your React
People
app was as simple
eat
as
the
this.
ad, and if you want to not
It could be.
lose
What about
time, just
an S3 uploader, something that interacts
$5
with
a
AWS?
month.
Again,
Oh, I know.
usually you
Let's
have a
just
UI
tell
part,
Sam
of
to stop.
something that lets you upload objects to S3, but you also have
He's in
an
1.5
API route
mode
because
already.
you
He's
get a
going
signature
so
from AWS to make sure you
Can
upload
you just
to upload
pause
to your
for a
bucket. What if all of that was packaged inside a component boundary? Or what if you had an auth service
So good.
and this is how you rendered a sign-in form?
Clerk.
And again, that was it.
Is that
You
a
don't have
Clerk
to
reference?
Add anything else. If you wanted to copy this to another part of your
Yeah,
app,
I know
you
that
just copy this
reference.
React tree.
I get
You can
that.
throw it in a
Yep.
modal. That would be awesome.
This is
What if we
something I've
had
talked a lot about, actually. This idea
a
of like,
CMS that was thought from the ground up?
your backend now can be your service, like as a software as a service provider, like for us with Upload Thing or for Clerk or Contentful or Stripe, that can be shared out as a component that can be mounted in your app, and it handles both the backend and the front end concerns. And we've put a lot of thought into this for Upload Thing, and a lot of other devs are working on this too for their own stuff. It's the idea that you can npm install someone else's infrastructure, and all the backend and front end concerns are handled with like one package and one like component mount is really cool.
Nice.
The future I'm excited about. It'll be a lot of work, but if we get there, it'll be cool.
I've seen a lot of people do that with various components where you can just use their entire service and it's just like a singular component. That seems very, very nice.
Yeah.
For server actions and server components.
I didn't
and
mention HTML.
decomposed in the way these headless UI libraries do these days, so we still have complete control over the styling. But to render data from our CMS, you just render it, you point to the field, and it takes care of pulling it down. And then forms that let you update it and have actions bundled inside of them that you never even need. You just submit the form, it hits your CMS. You can view you can view draft versions of your CMS content, all just by rendering components and changing the props, just the way we do with UI stuff today. So I don't know about you, but if this is what it's going to look like to add server-side APIs to our app, to write server code in our React apps, and it's going to be this easy and fun, just like it is with the UI stuff today, then that makes me really excited about the future of React. So thank you.
Good stuff. Oh, the next talk's already started. Damn, we're very late.
Oh, the next
we're a little
talk already
behind.
started?
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, Google person. Nice.
why don't you pause it and run your ads?
I already ran the ads.
Hello, everybody. My name is Hussein Jerde, and I'm an engineer at Google.
I just run them whenever.
Okay,
My
let's go.
talk today will be covering Next third parties and the work we've been doing to optimize third-party loading in Next.js.
All right.
To give you all some context of the work that we do, I work in a team called Chrome Aurora. And our mission is to advance the web framework ecosystem by introducing better tooling.
I'm going to give a bit of context here because there's a talk that was at Reactathon that got nowhere near enough attention, where one of the leads from the Chrome developer experience team spoke, and she said they had done a ton of research internally. So, because they had this core belief that vanilla JS was how the real developers were building stuff, and frameworks were just for hobbyists. So they went out and ran the numbers. They polled all of the biggest websites, all the developers who were working on building new applications, and they learned that their intuition was exact opposite. The vast majority of vanilla things were built by hobbyists, students, and by one developer. Most multi-developer real projects by companies were using a framework of some form. And since then, they've entirely changed the tune internally at Chrome, where they're working closely with framework authors because they know how important those frameworks are for making the web and making Chrome as good as possible. But it took them a while to get there, and they only somewhat recently made this transition at Chrome. But I've definitely felt the difference, and that's why teams like Aurora now exist, because they're accepting at Chrome that web components were not the right abstraction. Maybe we need a real framework.
I wish they were the right abstraction.
I could speak a lot longer on that, but we don't have enough time at NextConf for me to complain about web components. So
they're so close, but
they're not that close.
Popular JavaScript frameworks and libraries.
They're just
they're close in the sense that
a
car is close to a
We've been collaborating
bike,
with the NextJS team for years.
No.
And we share many common
You could be
objectives,
close, but if you miss the
including trying to
target,
introduce utilities and automatic optimizations to enhance the developer and user experience of NextJS. We've helped ship multiple utilities in the past number of years, including the NextJS image component, which is used in more than half of all NextJS sites.
But if I did.
The next font utility, which is used in about 15% of all NextJS sites.
Next font's still pretty
and even
new,
the
so
NextJS
that's
script
huge.
component, which is used in about 15% of NextJS sites.
Okay, that's funny. Those being the same amount is actually very funny to me, because Next font is really new and solves a problem everybody has. Next script is really old and solves a problem I hope you don't have. So these being equally used is very funny to me. Next image being used 54%, that makes sense. Next image, it's in the default template. It's really good. I love it.
Is that the caching of the images thingy?
Yeah, it's the image caching plus rendering the correct size of image for the thing.
Yeah.
So if you have a 200 megapixel image and you mount that with Next image, it will on the Vercel CDN or with Cloudinary or whatever else you use as a plugin, it will make that a bunch of different image sizes depending on the different sizes it can render at, and then embed that correctly.
and there's lazy loading too,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
It's really nice. And they even have a blur hash feature and stuff with it too, so you can have a blurry version embedded in the HTML and then the image lazy loads in after.
Nice. Does it do that whole JPEG small, medium, large generation?
Yep.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep. It tries to use the best thing for the browser you're in, so it uses WebP or whatever the AV1 equivalent is for really good image compression. So you're loading images that are kilobytes.
I love that you can't use WebP on Google stuff.
Yep.
Context, they invented WebP just to,
Yeah. WebP's always worked better on Apple stuff than Google stuff for me, but yeah.
The irony of life.
For today's talk, however,
Oh, boy.
we'll discuss the script component in particular.
Oh boy.
And the work we've been doing
Script
for the past
component
while
talk.
to leverage and extend it to make loading third-party resources easier and faster.
I'm scared.
Okay, so what's a third-party resource? The HTTP Web Almanac defines a third party as an entity outside the primary site user relationship. It involves the aspects of the site not directly within the control of the site owner, but with their approval.
It's a good definition.
And third parties come in all shapes and sizes, from ads, analytics, to content embeds, chat widgets, marketing, and the list goes on and on and on.
Tweets.
The third party
Calling it now,
Consent.
they're going to mention workers, and they're going to probably mention, I'm expecting them to mention Party Town by name. Is that
Party
it?
Town.
Yeah. Worst naming ever.
Yeah.
Don't get me started on Click City.
ecosystem
Anyways.
is a massive one that makes so many developers' lives easier by not having to reinvent so many common use cases. One thing that my team tries to do quite often is get some data on overall trends in the web framework ecosystem. I recently wanted to find out how many third-party resources do NextJS sites typically load. This data is also from HTTP Archive, and we're looking at a sample size of about 160,000 NextJS sites. You can see here that over 94% of NextJS sites load at least one third-party resource. This drops to about
Google
67%
Analytics.
that load at least 5 third-party resources, which is still quite the majority.
think
And the
we
number
have
goes on
3.
and on and lower and lower. If you look at the end of the chart, we see that 2% of NextJS sites load more than 50 third-party resources. Now, 2% might seem like a small number,
So-
but this is more than 3,000
That seems
sites.
huge, but you have to understand that's actually Google Analytics 50 times.
You think so? You think it's actually just Google Analytics over and over again?
No, but sadly for one person it is. And for that one
Now you
person,
can
I feel
imagine
very
the
bad.
type of sites that have this many
You're
third-party
that one
resources.
person?
They're likely
Thankfully,
massive
no.
websites with a ton of complex features.
We're
And for many
GA3
companies,
as of, like,
there may be
beginning of the
marketing or business requirements that may require the inclusion of so many third parties.
Interesting.
Digging in a little deeper, I wanted to see if we could correlate the number of third parties that load in Next.js with overall site performance. We can start with largest contentful page,
yeah.
which is a useful metric that measures the time it takes to render the largest image or text block in the viewport. After a good deal of research, we determined that a good LCP score is 2.5 seconds or less. Okay, so how does the number of third parties that load in Next.js sites relate to LCP? Again, we're looking at the same sample size here. You can see for sites that load at least a single third-party resource, a very significant chunk has a good LCP score, about 39%. But when we filter the subset down to sites that load at least 5 third-party resources, the number goes down. And then with 10, it goes down, and so forth.
That makes sense.
During the keynote, Guillermo shared some
1%.
amazing work that the Next.js team is doing to make LCP scores
That
better.
means
Things
there's
like
a site
rendering,
loading 50
streaming, and
that
so
has
forth.
a good LCP score.
But what I want to highlight for this
At
talk
least one.
is the impact third-party resources
There was
can make on
3,000 of them,
metrics
so
like LCP.
1% would be 30. There's 30 websites. Drop
Let's look at
from
another
50 in
performance
that.
metric. Interaction to next paint, which measures
That is
responsiveness by
That's
calculating
cool.
all click, tap, and keyboard interaction latencies.
Ooh,
A good
nice.
IMP score is 200 milliseconds or less.
Really? 200?
We see a very similar looking chart when we try to correlate the number of third parties that load with IMP. Next.js sites that load more third parties have poorer performance when it comes to responsiveness.
That seems more like correlation than
Now,
causation.
it's very important to mention that correlation does not necessarily mean causation.
Pre-watch.
You can't just look at the previous charts we saw and say for a
Pre-watch.
fact that the decline in performance
watched
was
these
due
last
to
night.
third parties.
Just kidding.
However, when we couple that data with the many studies that have shown in the past, that we've done in the past, it becomes clear that third-party resources have a significant negative impact on user experience.
Oh, can
To
you
try and
pause
look at
it?
this from a
Can you
different
pause
perspective,
it?
Yes.
we can also
Is high amount of third-party resources a different type of indication of like how the person is building the product more than it is?
Not even. I would argue it's a combination of that plus the age of the product in the code base. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of more things being added, and rarely are they being removed. Like, I know we switched analytics providers 3 times for ping, and we didn't switch. We added analytics providers for ping.
So you
Okay.
mean more being added over time, the project
Yes.
is getting older.
Yes.
Or it could just mean you have a marketing team that's using Google Tag Manager.
Yep. That's very real, sadly. Yeah. I would say it says more about the team structure than it does about the like philosophy of building.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of those like I forgot the name of like the rule where like code bases reflect the structure of the teams. There's some old like Linux guy who made some term for that, but yeah, there's
It's
some.
called Stallman rule.
Yeah, Stallman rule. Thank you. Is it Stallman rule? No, it's not Stallman rule. You're just saying Stallman. God
Yeah,
damn
I
it.
was like, what?
run some local tests. I did this with ShadCN's taxonomy website.
It's
Also,
actually
quick
GNU
shout out to
plus
ShadCN
Linux.
and some of the incredible work he's been doing in the Next.js ecosystem. Yeah, round of
It's
applause.
actually React plus Next.js.
Right.
Or is that
The reason
been
why I picked this
taking to calling it React/Next.js?
Site was A, it's open source, and B,
Salty.
it was actually a nice representative example of a Next.js site with many routes and tons of functionality. The nice thing too was that it didn't include any third-party resources. So I wanted to see what would happen
Conway's
if I tried to
law.
include some or
You
10
ship your
of the
org
more
chart.
popular
Conway's
third-party
law,
scripts.
okay.
When I did that, I
Conway's
found the
law.
total blocking time of the site
Thank you,
to
Prime.
increase 65 times.
So smart, Prime.
Now, total blocking time measures how long the main thread was blocked between
3
first
hours
contentful paint
later.
and when the site becomes interactive. It's a really useful proxy to assess
Jesus,
how
this is a
responsive the
scary
page is going to
number.
be to user interactions. And you can see how easy it is to just have your main thread blocked when you include third-party scripts. If we take a step back and look at this from a higher level, we can sort of see that there's 2 problems here. All the data we've seen so far show that there's a serious user experience problem that developers run into when they load more third parties into their application.
Fair.
But there's also a developer experience problem. A lot of developers don't necessarily know how to load popular third-party scripts, and when they do so, they don't know how to handle the performance issues or even add new custom functionality. Here's some anecdotal evidence, actually. And these are some things we see pop up all the time on sites like Stack Overflow. Next.js developers often struggle with the performance impact of third parties.
Can you
This
pause it
individual
for 1
here
second? Oh,
just talks
sorry.
about how they've included Google Tag Manager.
Someone
in the
said this guy looks like he's been taking pre-workout before the presentation. Low-level learning. We're on 1.5 speed.
Yes, we're
Okay.
very far behind. We're playing this fast forwarded to catch up.
This
Yeah.
is, he's not just jacked out of his mind right now.
Yes.
It's just sped up.
I'll speed it up
trying to catch
slightly
up.
less so people can keep up a little bit better here.
Next.js site, and their Lighthouse score
I'm not
came
going to
down
pre-work
to
out
38.
down slightly.
And this really is a cry for help. Here's another very similar example, but on GitHub. And this person says
Don't
pretty
know
much
what
the
else
same
I
thing.
can do.
Google Tag Manager is slowing down my Lighthouse score, and I don't know what else I can do to improve it.
I will say I love that there is a Google employee currently on the stage at NextConf showing an issue of somebody complaining about Google Tag Manager. Yeah, that's like this is the new Google. This is Google
Self-aware?
like being willing to like
Not
the
that
same
kind
way
of
like
self-aware.
Vercel's letting us sit here and talk shit when I'm the only Next user of the 4 of us. Like, yeah, they're understanding they have some work to do.
Google has become self-aware,
Yes, that's a scary thought, but it's a good thought.
not AI.
Yeah, okay, is this
No.
an AI reference?
No.
Are we going to have the world's shittiest version of Terminator?
And
that
we also see some
deprecates
very
itself
similar
a year
things but from
later?
a developer experience
Hootie.
angle. I found an article quite recently when I was trying to see what developers do to try and load Google Tag Manager into Next.js apps.
Nerd.
And this person looked at the documentation for GTM, completely decided not to follow it because developers try to find an idiomatic approach to including third parties. They opted to use an entirely separate open source library, which is or may not be maintained anymore. So what's the solution? I think a very good question would be, instead of trying to introduce framework utilities, why can't third parties improve the performance at the source? And for some third parties, this may be possible,
I handled
right?
my own script
But this can
loader.
take years. A lot of these third-party
I have also
resources
done that,
are used
sadly.
by the vast majority
I've
of
had
the
really
web.
weird use
Any
cases.
incremental improvement to
Really
user
weird use
experience
cases.
could take a very,
Dynamic
very long
script
time.
loading.
Yeah.
Where the scripts themselves have dynamic content.
For the developer experience angle,
It's
why
awful.
can't we expect the third-party providers
Check out my
to
talk
build
later
the
today,
framework
all about
utilities
it.
themselves? Why can't they build a React utility, or an Angular utility, or a Next.js utility, and so forth? Although this would be nice, it's not also very realistic. The framework ecosystem changes so frequently that it's just a lot easier for third-party providers to build a one-size-fits-all solution.
What? JavaScript releases frameworks at a high rate?
When we built the script component years ago, we wanted to make it easier to load third-party
We got a
scripts
new JavaScript
fast
framework in like
and efficient.
days.
Dude, I'm still using
The default
jQuery.
experience of the script component in Next.js is to load after some or all of your application hydrates. But we also included a strategy property to give developers some fine-grained control on when to load a third-party resource. You can decide to load it before hydration happens, after hydration happens, or even during browser idle time using the value lazy on load.
That's cool.
But it may be easy to use for like a single script.
I have done
But
this.
let's say we wanted to try to use a script component
Too
to
many
fetch
times.
Google Tag
This is great.
We look at the Google Tag Manager
love
documentation, figure out, okay, we need to include this big inline scripts, try to understand how to do so with the script
I don't
components,
even do it in React.
get that working, and then there's more that we also have issues with. What's the best loading strategy to use? Do we just stick with the default approach, or do we even decide to switch it up and do something slightly different? And there's other questions as well.
I like to
Should
switch it
this
up.
be placed in a layout, component, or page? How do you even try to send custom events? I'm using Google Tag Manager as an example here, but this pattern will apply to any popular third party. And for many, like Google Tag Manager, the majority of Next.js applications use them. So one thing we decided to do is, what if we can build on top of the script component to introduce a separate standalone library that makes this process a lot easier? Instead of trying to figure out all those details yourself, what if you could just import a Google Tag Manager component and automatically know that it's going to load in the most performant manner? What's
Use
happening
tags.
behind the
When
scenes
is that
is
gonna
nothing new or magical. It's using the script components, but we're doing the research to figure out when to load it for you so you don't have to think about that yourself. And what if you were like, okay, I want to try to send an event with Google Tag Manager? We created a little function, a little utility for you to send events as well.
That's nice.
They have roughly caught up to every other analytics provider here.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost. They're getting there.
Got him. Hey,
We also tried rolling out a
job.
YouTube embed
They're trying.
component.
This is actually
If
dope.
you wanted to include a YouTube embed and try to do it with the script component, you might realize the script component is specific for scripts, right? But we could do this a bit further and think about ways to make even embeds or style sheet or any other third-party resource easier for you.
I like that.
And again, we can take advantage here of not only making the developer experience easier for you, but we can also figure out what's the most optimal way to load it. Instead of relying on the typical YouTube embed, we decided to use a light YouTube embed to load that much faster. And we did the same for Google Maps embed. And you're starting to see a pattern here. We're making the developer experience easy for you, but we're taking care of the performance concerns for you.
Okay.
A lot of the times, Google Maps are just loaded automatically when they don't need to be.
Yeah.
So we're like, why don't we just lazy load them,
by a
but load
pixel.
the device viewport so it doesn't block any critical resources
Command
that load
D.
the page.
Not.
Next third parties is still under active development,
Command
but we would
Ds.
love your feedback. It's still very early stages. We've only launched those 3 resources, but we have a lot more
be here
plans
all
to
day.
include future third parties in the near future. So send us your feedback. The more that we hear, the more useful it's going to be. And here's a link to the documentation.
Of course they
Take a
dumped
look.
it.
Feel free to also comment and give feedback there. The more people that use this, the more we realize, the more that we know what to do and what performance issues that we can actually fix and overcome.
That's super cool.
Love that one.
He sold me with like the YouTube embeds. The
Yeah.
YouTube embed and the map embed. I'm sold.
The
That's
number of
super sweet.
websites I've seen that have the YouTube embed in them, but they have every single page loading the YouTube embed script because they just put
Oh,
that
yeah.
in the root, and then every page, like, and almost no pages have YouTube embeds, but you're still loading the
Yeah.
JavaScript, you're still eating it. That being at a component level actually makes a ton of sense, and I'm really hyped to see that.
I'm gonna go pee. I know we got a talk going.
Sounds
good.
good.
Luck. Thanks.
Grab me water if you can, Prime.
Just gonna check this really quickly. Don't mind my
you.
console logs.
Is it Tanner as well? Peace. Thanks for stopping by, man.
Story time.
Sounds good.
I started learning how to code a little bit later in life, around 26 years old. But ever since I saw
I love
the
Michelle.
values
She's
and
the best.
opportunities
She
that
runs
I just
React
began
Miami.
teaching anyone around me whatever I had already learned. So I started volunteering a lot after work for organizations like Girls Who Code, Flamingo Coders, Path to College, Code Art, and a ton more organizations. The thing is that I love to give back to my community in South Florida, and I want to do whatever I can to ensure that our upcoming generations have the opportunities to grow meaningful careers in our region so they don't feel like they have to leave their support systems or the homes that they love in order to find success in life, which is something that we see quite a bit in our region, and a lot of great people are working on this problem. But truthfully speaking, we are still growing, and there's a lot of work to be done. So this is where my story begins with React Miami and how I used NextJS and Vercel to execute on the seemingly impossible vision of bringing a world-class developers conference to my home. My name is Michelle Bakels. I'm a software developer, community builder, and conference organizer. I work at G2I on creating initiatives to support the health of developers and connecting these developers to great companies. And I am an avid daydreamer. I excel in zoning out. And in 2020, I had a lot of time to zone out. And I just dreamt about what it would be like when we were all back together again.
Yeah.
I looked up all of these web conferences around the world and dreamt about exploring a new city and meeting all of my Twitter friends in real life. And shortly after this, the Miami tech scene started to blow up. And don't worry, I'm not going to dig into this. This is just for context. But it was pretty bizarre. Like, super exciting, obviously, but a little bit bizarre. There had been so many people
Yeah, the whole Miami wave was interesting when it was happening.
I went to visit for like a month.
How was
Did
it?
you?
I did not.
There was a lot of tech people there at the time.
I feel like it was a Web3 bubble, honestly. That was my
It was a
read
lot of
on it.
crypto. Yeah, it was a lot of Web3.
Yeah, I find that when scenes form outside of the Bay, they tend to be more hype-driven than when they're in the Bay. Like, there's obviously a lot of hype for like the startup scene out here. Like the AI shit's just insane. But other places tend to be almost like the core is hype rather than being value. And that's why I've been concerned about like the New York scene, the Miami scene.
Somebody's item right here?
Oh, that's me. Shush.
Here you go.
We're talking about Miami.
Hold on,
the
I
When
tech
there was
scene
like
in Miami.
the push for based in Miami a few years ago.
You're texting what now?
We're talking about the tech scene in Miami because
First,
she runs
I had
React
been
Miami.
working on scaffolding a tech industry in
Oh,
South
she
Florida,
ran
some for
React
decades.
Miami?
And then
Yeah,
all at
still
once,
does.
it felt
It's her
like
conference.
the whole world was looking at us.
Is that the one
which is
Dax and
fantastic.
everybody went to?
Yep.
But then chaos
No,
ensued.
Dax lives in
and
Miami,
then there were
right?
all of these
But he still goes to that.
meetups and happy
Do
hours
they call
and
that place
conferences.
Hot Miami?
Everybody was on Twitter.
No.
I'm headed to Miami. Who should I meet? It's like, okay, awesome.
Not a hot
So
Atlanta thing.
we have all of these amazing tech events happening now. But what are we doing for developers? And there were a few initiatives going on, but I was like, we need a conference. We need a conference like the ones that I fly out to with
you ever go
the
to Miami?
industry-leading speakers
Yeah, say that
and
again.
the deep learning opportunities.
Did you ever go to
and the
Miami?
amazing
I did not
networking.
go to
So I'm in
Miami.
And so in the most serendipitous
didn't.
moment ever, I see this tweet, someone should put on a React conference in Miami. And at the time, I didn't work for Gabe, but now, of course,
Ooh,
he's my
nice,
boss at
420.
G2I.
Let's go.
And I was like, let's do it. Let's do this conference. But Gabe and I, we didn't have any conference organizing experience. So this is when G2I partnered officially with DevWorld and thus created
I haven't been
React Miami.
invited to React
So now React Miami. Exists. Yay.
Oh, what
so
a
now we just have to
shocker.
organize it right. Like, get some
24.
sponsors, sponsors, sell some tickets. This was the rudest awakening of
I
my
am
life.
a
It is
great
extremely difficult to organize
conference
a conference.
goer. Okay.
There are endless emails and contracts
React
and contract
conference
provisions
goer?
and calling people and
Huge
calling
React
them again.
lover?
Okay, wait.
Look at me.
Have you been to more React conferences or non-React conferences?
This is the only time I've ever been to a React conference is Next.js, if you can call that a React conference.
React plus Next.
But I've been to more React conferences than Rust conferences. Think about that one for a second.
Really?
Don't have to think that hard about that
For
one.
real.
I guess because
Yeah.
there's very few.
DMCA issues, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just a walking lab. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
I'm
How
in their
about
code of
crab laying
conduct.
conferences?
Crab Lake, I'd go. Gotta wait for it to happen.
This was supposed to be fun.
Oh shoot, we just got
I
a
was gonna
huge
hang out
gift.
with all my friends
Thank
on
you,
my
Crimson
Zoom,
Manna,
like, talk
for the
about
gift.
JSX or
Thank you.
whatever.
Sorry for all the subs
Now
that I'm missing.
finding
I
myself
don't have
working
any
on
access to any of my
negative
analytics on this
time with
the
all of the
machine.
dreams about what React
Thank you so
Miami
much for
would
that,
be just
though.
We call him
evaporating
Crimson
in front of
Mama.
my face. When you're organizing
Goddamn.
a conference, you never know how long each contract or agreement or conversation is going to
Can
take
you
to finalize, and these
bump
are
her
the most
thing?
important things you have to focus on.
Not much,
So
sadly.
whenever you're not working on these things, you'd be making the best possible decisions with your given time, anywhere you can be, so that if a potential sponsor reaches out or the venue has to go back on something, if anything comes up immediately that you have to address, you don't want to be like, can we talk about this later? I've had this course error
Yeah.
for like 2 hours. Sorry, guys. So this is why we unquestionably chose to build our site for React Miami with Next.js and Vercel, and it has been quite the journey organizing this conference. So let's start with year one. Year one is the hardest year to organize a conference because you have to sell
Agreed.
tickets and get sponsorships without any precedence for your event. There are no tweets, testimonials, or videos online. And so the only thing anybody knows about your conference is whatever is on your website. So we needed to create a website. And this is when I realized I had never created a marketing website before. Okay.
WordPress,
so
here we go.
Next thing is that I wanted us to actually build our website. We
Damn
were
right.
so early
WordPress is
in our
still
planning for
underrated.
React Native.
I'll
We had
rep
no
it.
idea what
I
this
would
was
have
going to
used
look
it for
like when
something
came
like
to
this, and I
fruition.
didn't know that. Just
so
like
I wanted us to build our site.
My
so
career
if we
started
had to
on
pivot
WordPress.
Or change our implementation details. We weren't locked
I
down.
used to use
in any way.
WordPress. It was so easy.
And we
It was
also
not
needed to
easy.
utilize a CMS.
It
so
starts
that we could
easy, then it
store
gets
our
really
conference
hard.
Information, and
Well,
so
for
that
like my basic old
co-organizer
blog,
Yost, he could
like
go and
putting
add
up
edits
posts
to
and
the site
things.
as well. So again, this is another new thing. Hadn't ever used the CMS before, so lots of new things.
Yeah.
But thankfully, I didn't have to start from scratch because there is an entire suite of free Next.js templates online for you to be able to use. So I found this one for the virtual event starter kit. When you use this kit, you get a whole application built out for you with about a dozen routes set up for events, fully responsive page layouts, type safety from front to back, a project set up in a CMS that's fully templated as well, automatic builds and deployments set up in
That's pretty
Vercel,
cool.
and environment
Didn't even know about
variables
this.
created
This is when they
and
started
configured
competing with
between
Create T3
all
app.
of these things. So if I were to do this on my own, it would probably have taken me a couple
Create
of weeks,
T3 conference
especially
app?
given all the other
When?
obligations that I
Never.
had. But in reality, this was maybe
T3
2
conf has to
minutes of
happen
work with a
first.
few mouse clicks. And this is exactly the kind of time-saving decisions we had to be making wherever we could. So this gave us a great head start with a lot of well-written code and established application patterns that we could just continue following all the way up to conference day. So then conference day arrives, and we sold out, which was wild, totally unexpected.
Didn't Wheeler go to this
But there were
too?
still a lot
Yeah,
of
it's one of
challenges.
his
And one of the
favorites.
biggest challenges is that I did a terrible job preparing volunteers and delegating work. So
She
I
did
created this
everything,
situation for
literally
myself in which
everything.
I'm pulled in 1,000 different directions, and there were some last-minute items that I didn't get to. And one of those things was to build a page on our website for the after party, where people would RSVP, we send the head count to the venue. And this was a need to have because the production team already made all the slides with this URL and sent it to the AV team. And so in the midst of everything, I'm like, how am I going to build this page right now? My co-organizer had an idea. He would create everything in a Notion document, send me the link, and we would just set up a redirect in Next.js. Genius. Okay, great. I actually had never done that before either. But it was okay because I happened to be at this React conference with hundreds of React developers around me. So I was sitting next to my friend Mark, and I was like, oh, Mark, I have to do this thing right now. And he's like, I actually already know how to do this thing. And so he's like, you just need these 5 lines of code, and then it's bloop, 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 minute and a half later, page is deployed, crisis averted, party on. So after that, I knew that Vercel and Next.js was going to be the stack for React Miami because it didn't matter if I was getting a huge head start from zero or if I had to make a code change to our website under a ton of pressure day of the conference. There was always going to be an easily accessible, fast, and reliable solution at my reach.
Somebody in chat asked when to rewrite work as well. The problem with the rewrite is that if it has any local resources that it's requesting, like if it's requesting /script or /image, and you have that rewritten, it doesn't know the host domain. So unless every single source on the page you're rewriting has its source domain handled correctly, that won't work, which is why redirecting makes more sense more often than not.
Do you do a 302 or a 303?
I do whatever Next does by default. I'm pretty sure it's 302.
You know what the danger of 302 is?
Caching?
No.
No?
When, let's say you hit an endpoint with a delete, you get redirected with your verb as well.
Ah. Oh,
303 redirects with the get.
Interesting. Good to know, actually.
HTMX, by the way, it's on their website.
Year 2, I worked off a refactored version of
That's
the virtual
not
event template
ironic.
for
That's
in-person
legitimate.
events.
That's
Team
why I
made
learned
deployments
about
for
it.
Vercel,
Yeah.
of course.
Poor Warren.
I'm gonna go check their
But
site.
there were some things
Warren
that
is
were
literally dead
that I was all
from
over.
alcohol
So first,
poisoning.
you may think that this is a picture of Jared Leto at a Gucci
Haven't
show.
seen him in chat
This is
for a bit.
actually a
Makes
picture of
sense.
me at NextJS Conf last year, seeing OG images being announced and then immediately using them for React Miami. This was amazing for our site because our site links could be shared anywhere, and they would be fully customized and branded based on the route. So this is an example of our speaker cards from last year. We were able to put in this beautiful
those are good.
floral Miami
Those are so much
design
less
with the
awful
speaker
than they
information,
usually
what
are
they
for every
do,
other
our
event.
conference information.
because they
Without
don't
this, we
usually
would create
exist
these
for every
like
other
Twitter
event.
or
That's fair.
LinkedIn posts that would combine like text and link and image all together. But that messaging would only ever exist all together in that post. With OG images and being able to use this for React Miami, we could just share links or other people could share links and that messaging would still all be together with really impactful and customized
Warren's
information. So
entirely unable
another
to
thing
speak from the
was
alcohol poisoning.
Analytics was massive.
What does that
for React
translate to?
Miami. This
You
is
guys
another
think?
announcement from last year.
It's
Vercel
13
requires
drinks.
split
is what it
in
In
translates
drunk,
to.
it translates to 13
that
drinks
was
and
a
I'm
good
here.
business decision. Thank you so much for that. Let me go back to when I said I didn't have any time to do anything. Analytics was something that didn't get shipped in year 1 for React Miami, and that's so bad. But year 2,
Yeah.
we can install analytics in our project in just a couple of minutes, and it's like the world blossomed open. I could see where our site traffic was coming from, where in the world our visitors were, which routes they're hitting, how often they're hitting these routes. And this was really beneficial to us because the last year has been very, very hard for events. The economy hasn't been good. Companies weren't sending their developers to conferences as
Facts.
much. Marketing budgets, aka sponsorship budgets, were frozen. So we needed a lot of help, and analytics was a really great way to see what was important to our site visitors.
It's a really pretty analytics
and
page. Who is that?
Help move that as
So
close
it
to the front of their
started
experience
as
possible.
Split B, and they got acquired by Vercel. So
Oh, yeah, that's great. That looked. It's just
It
it's
gave us the
simple
insight
enough where you
to
don't need
do a
everything,
speaker
and it looks
preview
like it
event
loads
as
pretty
well.
snappy.
So we were originally going to announce
So when I
our
go to
entire
Google
speaker lineup
Analytics,
in
it
January.
doesn't load
Once
snappy.
we saw how many people were coming to our site and going
Yeah.
directly to the speaker page first, we decided
It's
to put
also
a preview
confusing.
together in November,
That looks
and that's
great.
actually the moment that our ticket sales kicked off for the rest of the time leading up to the conference. So that is just something that was
Beautiful
really, really
looking.
huge for us that we wouldn't have gotten
Much like
without
my
this
wife,
kind of insight
who's
from
beautiful.
analytics.
That is not me.
So now conference
Which is
day arrives, and we have
earlier.
another mini crisis again. I just finished
Just in case
Somebody
organizing
asked if I've heard of
wondering.
Payload
Dev
CMS.
Health.
like,
The
hell,
Payload CMS
no, no
CEO
way.
just is about to walk up the stairs behind us. I'm
Don't,
very
like,
familiar with Payload.
be mean
Yes.
about it. Like,
He's on the beach, and I'm literally running from
I'm already
South Beach
taken,
trying to get
okay?
to
We
the
don't have to just be like, oh, hell
convention
no.
center
Oh.
for the queen of CSS herself, Una Kravets, is about to take the stage.
Vomit.
And I get this text message that our stream is down. I still don't know what happened,
That happened
but
to
our
us
streaming
earlier.
platform, it just wasn't going to work. So I had to replace the stream minutes before this conference day was starting. So the MCs are going
YouTube
on
live
stage,
streaming is
and
so hard.
we need to replace the stream. So
So they
this
were
is how this all
actually
went.
going to use something else, and it failed last second. So they had to
Oh.
switch to a YouTube embed minutes before the stream started.
oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Never use. I mean, if you're gonna not use Twitch, using just a third-party crazy that's crazy.
No, you got to use YouTube. But like YouTube is paying the money for this infrastructure and for all this effort to be done. Just use them. Unlist the stream and embed it. It's fine.
Yeah.
It will leak, but who cares?
Why would it?
8:57,
Can you pause
I
it
get
one more
this-
second? Why does someone care if I noticed that Vercel's is unlisted. Why is that a deal? I don't get it. Also, you're not subscribed to Vercel.
Yeah, I'm not
Loser.
signed in right now.
Loser.
I'm not signed in.
Oh, okay,
This
not
isn't my
signed in.
computer.
Okay.
I'm not signing into my Google account on like a random provided by the company hosting the event
Fair.
PC.
Okay, fair.
Yeah,
Yeah, that could end
even giving them my
poorly.
stream key was scary enough. But yeah, a lot of companies like they treat the stream itself as like a thing that's like supposed to be part of like a paid ticketing system where they want to track it through their internal analytics and stuff, and they want you to have to go to the NextConf website. Or to be fair, NextConf's not bad about these things. It's other events that are particularly bad about this.
Yeah,
And,
they treat it like their own like IP, right?
Yes.
Interesting.
It's actually a problem I've had because I want to co-host and like do this type of thing with a lot of other companies, and even getting them to like sign off on it. Like the execs will agree, the people hosting the event will agree, but some random like marketing team will be like, yeah, but we can't track our UTM tags on that, so sorry, you can't do the event. That's happened
Now-
multiple times now.
I feel like having a high amount of YouTube views would be significantly better
Yeah,
than whatever other
we're
tracking.
currently getting more concurrence across my Twitch and YouTube stream than they were getting on their YouTube stream. By
Yeah.
quite a bit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
quite.
this is huge for NextConf. And like ones in chat if you're watching this and you wouldn't have watched NextConf otherwise. Let's see those ones.
Yep. I
Make
think
me my
that's-
money, guys.
We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
There
6,
they
7, 8,
come.
9, 10.
Yeah.
Coming in.
Case in point. Yeah. We're making Vercel a lot of money.
Frame in a WhatsApp message. And then at 9:01, I commit the code change, it gets pushed. 9:03, it's already deployed and live on our site. And at 9:05, a pre-scheduled tweet goes out to join the live stream for Una's talk. And it's like nothing happened.
Nice.
No one suspected a thing. Unless
Yep.
you happened to be in the room with me when I was making this code change and you for sure knew something was wrong. But aside from those people,
sheer
it was
panic.
seamless. So we had another really great year and
She works way
really
too
happy
hard.
with how it ended up in the end. After the conference, I wanted to fork this other NextJS template for the image gallery starter kit. And this is just a beautiful gallery that I thought would be great to showcase our images from our photographer, Daniel Schutz-Smith. And so I start working on this gallery, and a week later, Vercel is like, we do databases and blobs now. And I was like, what? Sick. Okay, so what if this gallery was like full stack Vercel? Like, what does that even mean? So this was the stack. I
Spin it
used
up a tiny
Vercel
bit
blob
so we
to
can catch
store
up.
the images, then I took those blob URLs, stored them in Vercel Postgres with additional image information like alt text, a few other things.
Okay.
The whole
Could have used upload thing. Could have used
Yeah.
upload
Yeah,
thing.
could've
But
used-
I guess blob, fine. Oh, no, no, she's not even using blob. She's storing the image blobs as URLs with image data in Vercel Postgres. So she's storing the images as Postgres data. So
Yep.
don't do that either. But
whole gallery
yes.
is built with Next.js and it's deployed on Vercel.
Upload
So
thing.
really
.com.
straightforward. You grab the data from the database,
What?
populate the image gallery. It's deployed on Vercel. Et voila. That's how web applications work, and it worked like a charm. So another Next.js template win. Year 3, our site for year 3 was just deployed earlier this month, and I decided to start it from scratch. There were a lot of new things that changed between year 1 and 2 that I wanted to take advantage of, and the first one was custom events from Vercel Analytics. So custom events allow you to set up tracking throughout your site to see exactly what's being clicked on. And
Vercel Postgres, isn't that, it was using
I set this up on every
Neon?
LinkedIn button in our...
It still is using Neon.
It uses
yeah.
Neon? Okay, did they open it up to other providers, or is it still just Neon?
So Vercel Postgres is Vercel's infrastructure for Postgres. So it is just them reselling Neon. The same way like PlanetScale's kind of just reselling RDS, but it's their custom weird way of doing RDS. Like all of these things are just resells of other things. But
I use Terso, by the way.
Yeah, Terso's great.
I had to throw that out there.
Terso is great. PlanetScale slightly better, but Terso's really good.
Oh, I don't know. Local caching? Come on.
Yeah, local caching is cool, but Vitesse is very reliable, battle-tested technology, and yeah, it is what it is.
Our website, and I can see how often these things are being clicked, what areas of our site are getting the most traction, and just drill down a little bit deeper into understanding how people are using our site. So going back to the speaker page example, it's not entirely clear how people are getting to this route, right? Are they going through the navigation bar? Are they coming from a Twitter post?
We're nearing Prime's ADHD stream length limit right now.
Yeah, here it is. And again, just understand deeper how people are engaging with our information on our site.
Yeah.
I also used App Router this year. So I personally prefer this directory layout because I like the co-location of functionality and resources to a route folder. You can also have things pulled out like into a components folder wherever necessary.
I think
overall,
I need
everything
coffee.
just feels a little bit less reactive.
Not a bad idea. You go grab coffee.
It
calms me down.
You think you need
but you
coffee?
just see a lot less things
for
because
more
everything's
energy?
server-side rendered. You just see a lot less things like effect hooks, get stack props. And with dynamic routes, you have flexibility as well. So you can generate dynamic routes on demand by default, or you can generate several dynamic routes all together at build time with generate static params. OG images also got an upgrade. So there is a route handler now with the file convention open graph image where you can store the code for your OG images right into the route of the route that it belongs to, basically a page that it belongs to. And so again, same thing. These are generated on demand by default for dynamic routes, or you can generate several of them all together with generate image metadata at build time. I also got to use AI quite a bit for the site this year. So number one, B0 from Vercel. This is an AI-powered UI generator. So you kind of describe what you want to build on a website in a prompt box, and it will generate layouts for you that you can edit, and then you can copy that code and stick it right into your application. So got to ship some of that, and then also got to use Basin, which is AI-powered CMS.
They all go find their stuff.
It uses the Vercel AI SDK under the hood, and this will generate your CMS templates and alt text for your images and a ton more things with AI. So very fun. These things were very beneficial to me to use, which brings me back to my intention from year one. I wanted us to actually build our website so that we could stay open to implementation ideas and integrations. 2 years ago, I would have never guessed that I would build a website with an AI-powered CMS. But by using NextJS, our projects stay open to new ideas, future innovations, and possibilities.
Sam from PlanetScale wanted me to clarify they're not actually on RDS.
Truthfully, this is really only
I
scratching
will
the
correct my
surface
mistake
of what we
there.
use
They know how to
from
use
NextJS and
MySQL
Vercel
well
for
enough to not
Miami.
need that.
When I started using Vercel, it was a platform for fast and simple deployments. And year over year, they've continued to deliver on their infrastructure and framework capabilities to provide that value of their deployments to more of the developer stack. And so when I think back on my intentions for React Miami and why we wanted this conference, it's not to build a website or to generate OG images.
They want
to
cut us
to
a different
to bring the world of React
thing.
together in some small
Big
way.
moment coming soon. Big moment coming soon. So I'm going to skip through this real quick. You literally kill your internet in the middle of streaming. No promises of anything. YouTube, am I back? We're back? Cool, we're back on YouTube. Cool, we're live again.
Hey!
Hi.
I can entertain the stream while you go do something.
I am absolutely miserable because they took my internet out on me for 5 minutes and we lost everything. So, yeah. Yeah, we're good to go now.
Damn.
Cool.
What's up? Everybody ready to get mukbanged?
You might, let me tell, somebody who's in YouTube chat say Theo said refresh. YouTubers are probably gonna have to refresh to fix it. Who's this new guy? Yeah, good question. I have no idea who that is.
Hey, the name's Madison.
Cool. Sorry again, guys. I did not know my internet would be taken out for 5 minutes.
That's always really painful to get a 5-minute internet outage.
I guess we're out. Cool. Yeah, we are now on the screen in the other room, guys. Cool. I did not know my internet would be taken out for 5 minutes.
We can hear each other. That's always really painful to get a 5-minute internet outage.
Can y'all not play the audio for the stream in here? Cool. That's gonna we are now on the screen in the other room.
Just
I
turn
did
it
not
off
know
right
my
there.
internet would be taken out for 5 minutes.
We can hear each other. That's always really painful to get.
There
you go. See, look at
Not me,
that.
never mind. I screwed that up. I'm so sorry. Yeah, this is hard to do. Crazy enough. Streaming isn't easy. Shoot, wrong button. Yeah, streaming isn't easy when they yank your internet 5 minutes before you're supposed to be on the TV. So shout out to everybody but whoever did that. Appreciate y'all a ton. Thank you, NextConf, for having us. We've been sitting here reacting this whole stream. We've had awesome talks. We just watched a great talk from the hosts of React Miami. Thank you so much for that one.
That was awesome.
Great. Yeah, really cool seeing people using Next to build awesome stuff and host awesome events, just like this one. The site did look a little similar, a little familiar, though. Did you feel that?
No.
No?
It looks completely bespoke and beautiful.
Yeah, you don't go to conferences.
What? I'm currently at a conference.
Fair.
You know, okay, so you know me, I love React, and I was sitting there watching that the Google one.
Madison, get over here. We're
And
on the TV
I'm
in
not
there.
gonna lie to you, I would definitely use React for a YouTube button. That's it. If I could just be like, make a YouTube video, and it just worked every time.
But that's because you're a React content creator.
I am. I am core value
Technically
React.
speaking, wouldn't it be fair to say you have more React videos than me?
I have significantly more React videos
Are we
than
talking about
you.
how much Prime loves React? His
Yes.
number one favorite thing to work in? Just
Yes.
his passion,
It's where all of his-
pursuits, meaning of life?
That's where all of
also
his views
eating.
come from, is reacting. Got to make eye
You're gonna eat a
contact as you
fat
take the
sandwich
bites.
on stream.
Damn right.
That was aggressive.
That was.
So how are you so cold that you're wearing a little hat at this point? Beanie, dang.
They actually
I
paid
can't
him to
believe I
wear
took
it.
that big of a bite and then you asked me a question. Okay.
Okay, so we're actually talking about the more muscles you have, the more you're naturally less cold. So I think that's what I'm not cold right now. We're talking about this.
Makes sense.
Prime
Checks out.
reaction, we gotta wait for him to finish his giant bite.
No, I'm not reacting.
That's
no.
a scientific fact.
No.
How do you feel about this? Do you want to feel my?
No, it has
Arm?
nothing to do with that, okay?
No.
You know what it has to do with? I get so hot that my body tries to cool itself down. But the coldest summer I ever spent was, or the coldest winter I ever spent was the summer in San Francisco. It's freezing out there. And so I'm just not used to this kind of weather,
Did you
okay?
just quote like Mark Twain?
Can a man not quote Mark Twain?
Wow, I didn't think you were that classy. That's
He's
a
not that
surprise.
classy.
I'm a sophisticant. Okay? I use words like perspicacious all the time.
What does perspicacious mean, Prime?
It's having really great insight into a topic.
Sure.
Yeah, you might be confusing it with precocious, which is showing early adolescence ability in something, which people typically...
This is like the thing I would be saying if I was trying to troll somebody who has dyslexia like you.
Go ahead, look it up, hashtag it, Google it.
I did see a really funny tweet recently that was like, sorry, not going to read this, going to wait till another developer with dyslexia will read it for me.
That's a great tweet, because who would be reading in front of people with dyslexia? That seems like a terrible idea.
Who would do this?
Hey, I have a terrible fear of public speaking, so we all just embrace our problems.
We do. TJ read for me, and every single comment was, who is this guy, and how does he read so well?
It's funny, trying to read on stream made me realize I'm not actually a great reader. I thought I was good at it, but then I did it on stream and I realized all my patterns and like how I parse things is horrible and really terrible to follow.
So hard. And then you also realize when you read out loud that you fix people's bad grammar and stuff. There'll be like an there when it should be an and you'll read it and you're like, you are, okay, hold on, let's go backwards here. And then you're just all screwed up.
Yeah,
it's shocking.
I used to copy edit for a lot of people in dev and open source stuff. Like I still help Ryan Carniato and Fred and Friends with like blog posts randomly. And the way I read when I'm reading something for stream is not dissimilar from how I read when I'm doing something like that. And it makes it really hard to, because I just stammer over all of the grammar issues as I'm doing read it through. It's hard for me.
You know, I think there's some pretty good stuff today.
I think so too.
Okay.
Well, what's been your favorite so far?
My favorite so far, besides for performance being almost the most important topic of the group during the keynote, I would say that I like what Google's doing. I'm glad that they're embracing. I'm glad that they're making things that maybe are great for developers. Because typically, what Google does is they're like the main character off of Idiocracy. Like they're not great, they're not horrible. They're just like the nipple of every bell curve.
Luke
And
Wilson
it's just like, yeah, that's a Luke. Again, sophisticant, okay.
He's
it's
like
just
the
like
smartest person in the world of dumb people, basically.
Basically, if you had all the worst products, Google would be not that bad. But now that looks like they're actually going down on the, they're no longer the nipple. They're going all the way down the bell curve, and the stuff they provided looked really great. Like, that actually is good stuff.
Yeah. It has been really nice seeing Google more, like, embracing frameworks in modern web dev. Like, it's not just, like, Google telling us how we should build websites. It's now embracing how we're building websites and trying to help us do a better job using the tools that we're already using. That feels like a huge shift in the entire web industry, honestly.
And I hear they know a lot about the browser, right? They're pretty good at it.
Yeah, they're decent at it.
Can you fact check me at that one?
What's your favorite browser, Madison?
What's my favorite browser?
Yeah.
Safari.
Good answer.
Safari?
So you're a Bun
Safari.
user.
Absolutely. My number one. I've never used any other browser. Just
Well,
Safari.
respect.
Why would you need anything else?
It has really good battery performance on Macs.
I just use Firefox.
I'm actually an Opera guy myself.
Thank you, Bash. We need Bash immediately. Bash, can you please fly from Canada or whatever?
Any website I can browse via curl, I don't actually want to go on. I'm sorry.
Okay, so here's the deal: is that clearly Brave is a great browser.
Brave is a browser,
and no one's mentioning it.
I feel like I tried Brave forever ago when there was all this hype about it, but I feel like it's.
I'm still hyping. I'm still hyped up.
Speaking of hype, let's talk about how we build our JavaScript. I think that's one of the interesting pieces we were talking about before with performance. I feel like most existing focus on performance for build has been dev builds. So making it so when you save a file, you see the response, you see the change as quickly as possible.
That seems natural.
But actual build times for when we're making our production builds has not been a focus. Even something like Vite, which is incredible. Vite is a wonderful technology that is an incredible developer experience. It still uses roll-up in production. So our production builds with Vite still aren't much better than what we would see with something like Webpack. And one of the cool things about the TurboPack stuff they announced is that they're not just using it in dev, they're also using it to speed up production builds. So what I'm saying is we are the first production NextJS is the first production Rust framework because we're using Rust in our production builds.
That doesn't make any sense. Rust doesn't go in production, okay?
Yeah, fair.
You only do command line utilities.
Yeah.
Rip
what if
grep
you're
is really
using
great.
CLIs in your production, though?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Checkmate atheist. You just actually
Checkmate
literally
atheist?
just
Seething
got me right
now.
there.
Yeah,
Checkmate atheist,
we don't
a lot
have
of-
our CLI expert Bash here today, sadly. She is in chat, and thank you for helping keep chat slightly less
Bash.
chaotic than it normally is.
I wish she was here.
Yeah, thanks, Bash, for leaving me out here.
Yeah. Got sick at TwitchCon, apparently.
I know.
Somehow we
Yeah.
didn't.
I think she got sick
It's
of
strong immune system.
us
That's
at
fair.
TwitchCon.
She's
Yeah.
done with you guys.
She got a little allergic.
Can take another day.
Yeah, being surrounded by gamers without being paid for it kind of sucks.
It does. All right, so real talk, though. Okay, so I guess the thing I'm confused about a little bit with that previous statement was that rollup allows you to use SWC, which uses Rust. So you can just do all your builds in that. So you can get pretty snappy production builds.
I've never seen rollup SWC before. I've heard a little bit about that, but I don't know of anybody using it.
I've seen it. I've seen it.
That's good to know,
I've
actually.
seen an end product using
So
it.
you think most people just don't use it?
No, every time I spin up a Vite project and I see that there's an SWC option, I get confused why people would use it. But it makes sense if that's using SWC for the production builds. That checks out. That makes a little bit more sense. That all said, the solution Vite has chosen is they're rewriting rollup in Rust. So that's the other side. They're doing the Rust rewrite, or TurboPack's a Rust project too. It seems like Rust is taking over our build pipes.
Yeah, that's because the ins and outs are really well understood. And so it feels like a natural win there. I'm curious, though. I am curious. I mean, Zig seems very exciting. OCaml mentioned. OCaml. Anybody in chat? OCaml. I know there's a lot of great languages today to do stuff in now.
Why haven't we made a build tool in Ruby yet?
That's a great question. I think one of the problems with making a build tool in Ruby is that first you have to be able to find someone that actually does Ruby.
And then you have to actually write the Ruby.
And then you have to hire them from Basecamp, which makes it a little bit difficult. And then finally, when you do hire them from Basecamp, it just doesn't run fast at all. Somehow we're slower than JavaScript.
Yeah. Python, maybe.
But I hear Ruby is an incredible language.
I enjoyed my time with Ruby so much that I went to Elixir. And Elixir was great.
Look, Theo, how have you not mentioned Elixir? Boom.
Yeah.
Elixir.
There you go. You got your Elixir mention, Jacob. I can't help myself. I do have our good friend Jose Valim coming to the stream soon. I'm very excited for that.
Oh, you got Jose to come.
Yeah. We're going to talk all about type safety.
Oh, yeah, because Elixir is going to potentially have some type safety put in. I'm curious if it's gonna how it's going to look. I haven't watched the talk.
It's very different. It's very different.
Is
it's
it
like a
OCaml-y?
hybrid of... It's somewhere between OCaml and Rust in terms of how it is really strong on like the backwards inference stuff.
Yeah, Hindley Milner.
I
type
don't
system?
know. I'm not smart enough with types. I just like when my autocomplete works, so I'm not the right person to ask. But they started on the math side. Like they mathematically proved out their type system initially.
Sounds like Hindley Milner.
Yeah. Type safety is hard.
Quick math. So you got the fastest mathematician in chat right now.
Yeah, who's quick math? So my favorite mathematician is MathGeek007. He's on Twitter. Every year he does Advent of Code in Excel, and he streams it. He gets like 5 viewers, and me and my community are all 5, and it's incredible.
What do you mean he does it in Excel?
I mean he solves the Advent of Code coding problems in an Excel spreadsheet for every one of because you don't submit code for Advent of Code, you submit the numeric answer. Like the prompt will like have this crazy long input, and you have to get an answer out of it. You can do it by hand. There's people who do it by hand for the first like 5 problems, but then it gets too crazy. He did it all the way to day 25 with Excel. It was nuts.
What's his username?
MathGeek007.
That's a great name.
MathGeek007.
Great name.
Absolute legend.
007.
Yeah, Excel is the best programming language. We all know that. Like, why would you ever use VB when you have Excel right there?
I like where this man's head's at.
Yeah, right?
You know what? Okay, so if we're talking about languages, you know what language I've become the most curious about in my days of just reading about every language?
Oh no.
JavaScript?
Nope. Try again. Come on.
Vim?
C++?
Nope, not C++. I've already done C++, and I choose to avoid it. We've already had it set in chat.
Not OCaml, is it? Haskell?
No, I am very interested in OCaml as well, but it's not OCaml. It's a tie between OCaml and
Perl.
Swift.
Swift. Oh yeah, you have been nerding out about Swift lately.
Really?
Swift's a weird language.
Have you been on stream nerding out about it?
No, I've only read articles about it. I feel very excited. So I'm choosing what to do for Advent of Code. It's either OCaml
What makes you excited
or
about
Swift.
Or
It's
what's causing this?
It's more like Rust and also not like Rust all at the same time.
You gotta explain that one further.
Okay, so Rust. So here's a great way to put it. Pretend this table right here is all potential safe programs, but the ones that Rust recognizes is like this little circle, right? Rust recognizes only a provable set of safe programs, where Swift has reference counting. OCaml has garbage collection. But then you can also get into ownership if you need to. If you want to take things faster, you can make the parts that need to be fast, without all the pain in the ass that is the other parts.
Swift does that, which is something.
Yeah, Swift does that.
Okay.
And OCaml is now doing it too. OCaml 5.
Yeah,
and it's also named after figures in, what's it called? What's the book? Dune. Yeah, that's the book.
Oh, I love Dune. Read that forever ago.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm on book 3, and it's weird.
I never read the second one. I feel like
it gets weird.
Important question. Is there a Swift HTMX package yet?
You wouldn't do a Swift HTMX package.
Why not?
You don't do HTMX. You do HTML. Is there a Swift templating language?
Yes.
If there is, then then you already have HTMX.
The package would be for type safety of like routes being correctly handled. So when you specify a route in your HTMX, that route exists, it is returning the right format.
That's just not a thing.
Lame. I know that
it's not a thing because you don't have client-side state. It's not a thing.
Ethan Neisler was working on this a little bit with the Beth Stack stuff, where his actual, like the routes that you were specifying for your HTMX, if that route didn't exist, it would type error.
Yeah, that doesn't seem... I mean, the thing is that only works if you have a framework that is kind of scaling everything, which is what he has. So he knows what routes you've specified because he owns the router. He knows what what pages you're writing, because if you know everything, if the missile knows where it knows where it isn't.
Yep.
Or the other way around.
Yeah,
if the missile knows where it isn't, then it knows where it is.
It subtracts where it isn't from where it has been.
Yeah.
To know where it is. Yeah.
It's the classic difference right there.
What I'm saying, I guess, is that you need to have a Swift router, a Swift framework, a Swift compiler, and then Swift HTMX.
Yeah. Then you could validate that.
Yeah. So somebody needs to remake Beth Stack with Swift.
What I was thinking about doing is because I already wrote, we already have a working and cargo installable HTMX autocomplete. But I was going to make it so that it can also crawl all the files. If you have like a little config, it'll just crawl whatever directories you tell it, and it'll gather every HTMX tag and all of its routes, and then give you a dynamic list of routes for you. And then technically, I guess you could continue to add on to it in some way. I'd have to think about that because the problem is I don't want to program it all. You'd have to come up with like a plug-in way. It'd be that one would be hard because you already know the tags. But the hard part, are we still on or is this?
I have no idea if we're still on or not. I think we are. Yeah, cool, we are.
People are listening to this?
Yeah, and they're just restreaming our YouTube stream on their YouTube right now.
Double YouTube?
Yeah, we're double
legal?
trouble.
Can you stream to Twitch, which is getting restreamed to YouTube?
Well, with the new changes with the Twitch policy, almost certainly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyways,
when are you going to start streaming, Madison?
Yeah, Madison.
What?
When are you going to start streaming?
You know, I tried to stream a few times. It crashed like every time I streamed. I want to get back into it, but I have to say the setup is so ridiculous. Like OBS and configuring it all. And I tried to stream from my Mac, which was a bad idea.
Yeah.
So I want to get back into it, but it was like...
Yeah,
it was just such a hassle.
I'm going to make a video eventually about my setup because I get so many questions about it. I'm like regularly surprised.
I tried to copy a lot of your setup. Like I got the camera you told me to get. I got the mic you told me to get.
And stuff.
And that stuff's really helped. Yeah.
Yes. The actual machine that does the capture tends to be the hardest part though. Like even here, I insisted, for better or worse, we are running a Windows machine right now. But Windows does tend to be the most reliable thing for OBS.
Yeah, I think I got to get a Windows. Like that's because I just have a Mac. So.
And then you can go really
if
simple.
anybody here happens to work at a computer company that makes gaming PCs, feel free to hit any of us three up. We're all looking for better machines to stream with.
Let's just say if you're I can't. We're on Vercel. I can't say what I was about to say. I was about to make an Aspen Gold joke, but I realized that you probably shouldn't make phallic reference jokes on a company.
Can you replace the phallic part with a triangle?
Ooh, that's a great question.
You guys don't think we should make phallic jokes, but you were talking about the T word earlier extensively.
Yeah, but that wasn't when we were on the Vercel channel. But, but also, like, Vercel owns the taint. They've been very clear with that. They're the providers of taint.
So there's the taint is the final line before you cross into too much, right?
Yes.
Once you go past the taint,
then you're in the client.
And we just don't talk about those kind of things right here, okay?
Yeah, you have a classy gentleman line.
Yeah.
And so you have classy.
Totally.
Whoa, Crimson Mana, Crimson Mama is what you refer to them
Crimson
as.
Mama.
Yeah, with another 50 gift subs. We appreciate that a ton. Thank you for funding this stream at this point. Jesus. We appreciate the support so much. Absolute legend out here.
Family-friendly stream.
Yes.
Yeah. I really like the talk on the community website and building the conferences. Like conferences take so much. I can see behind the scenes. This conference amazing. Like everyone putting in all the work here.
Yeah,
Michelle killed it.
I learned this year how much work goes into this. I showed up here at about 5 p.m. to set up for the stream, and I left at about 10 p.m.
Dang.
Yeah, and I brought half of my studio here in order to make this all work.
Yeah, remember when we're going to do more than one stream target and everything?
I mean, we are. I'm doing that right now. I could have added the multi-RTMP outs here with like 3 button clicks. That's the easy part.
Okay.
The hard part was the hardware and getting all this set up and looking good. I had duct taped an on-air sign here, and I guess it was too jank because they took it down. But yeah, we had a super
Was it a black piece of paper with white writing?
No, it was an actual neon on-air sign, but we had black duct tape pushing it up on the wall there. But I thought that black duct tape would be enough for Vercel to be okay with it because like the black and white theming, but...
Who started Skill Issue? Like when did that come up?
That's an old gaming thing.
Okay.
That's something you say to people to emotionally bruise them.
Oh, you said that to me earlier.
That's how I got blocked by Jonathan Blow.
Huh?
Jonathan Blow tweeted that it was embarrassing that he could buy a brand new high-end Windows gaming machine and YouTube would still like be choppy to like browse and load videos in. And I quote tweeted it with Skill Issue and got blocked immediately.
Yeah, I mean,
it was a skill issue, but
is it?
Yeah,
on the side of YouTube,
probably.
But nonetheless, there's a skill issue somewhere in here.
Somewhere skill happened there.
That does sound brutal. All right, I am interested. Okay, so I've never been to Miami, and I've never been to a proper React conference. I think there's only one thing to do.
Hey, can we get Prime to React Miami? I'm sure Michelle's down. I don't want to speak for her, but I would be very... Oh, there she is.
I know.
Michelle.
She was right in front of us. That's why I was hoping she would actually
Can we bring Prime to React Miami? Official blessing. Can we bring Prime to React Miami next year?
Am I allowed to go? Okay,
cool.
I wasn't sure, because sometimes some conferences may or may not have mentioned in their code of conduct, so I just wanted to verify.
Cool. There will officially be at least 2 mustaches at React Miami, confirmed.
No more
Thank you,
taint
Michelle.
talk. Keep the taint talk on the DL.
keep the what
No,
talk on
it's
the
a
taint?
React
taint,
conference.
taint.
It's going to be
The what?
mostly about the taint.
Exclusive taint
Yeah.
rights.
Oh my god. I feel like you
Can
guys
I
have
react
waited
to
your
the React
whole life
conference?
to say this word as many times as you said it. There's so much
Absolutely.
joy in saying
Yeah, we
this.
grew up
Like,
watching
do you see
Jackass.
they're so happy.
Absolutely. We needed this.
This is the problem, is that this is why companies can't do this, okay? Because now I find myself abusing the taint,
Yeah.
which is just completely inappropriate to even say.
Did you
out
see
loud.
Sebastian's reply to my tweet about it?
No.
My
I didn't even see your
marketing-
tweet about it, to be real.
Just
like,
I just screenshotted
facts.
like the part of the post that mentioned the taint for the first time, and he replied, "I see my marketing strategy is working. Thankful one name could get us to start talking about security. This was the plan the whole time,
That's
and
pretty
he
good.
succeeded.
That is good.
We are now regularly talking about security in the new full stack model."
He had full on 4D chest that one.
Yes, he absolutely did. He's not even a native English speaker too. That's the best part.
I like that now that I'm here, I recognize people from their Twitter pictures. Every
do
now and then
too,
someone
yeah.
walks by and I'm like, I recognize that guy.
Yeah, I don't have that problem. I don't look at all like my Twitter picture anymore. I need to retake it.
You mean because your hair is a lot lighter now?
The hair's lighter and mustache.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll fix it eventually. Just need to make sure the background color stays the same so people recognize me.
Yeah. It's a good color.
Just smile like that.
Yeah.
That's all you gotta do.
I'll just switch to your picture.
There you go.
should have changed your profile picture on YouTube to Tej when you were gone.
That would require me to do actual work.
That's fair. Don't you have
It's a good
team?
joke. I don't
what
lean
was
into
the meme
jokes.
you were creating earlier? You were working.
Okay, I
Do we
wasn't.
get to see that?
I was gonna try to find it. I wanted to find a good little
He was,
online
like, on
program
his
to just do a
phone-
little paint,
On his phone, like trying to like.
so I could just say, I am not going to mention HTMX, and so that way I could just like hold it open and it would just say, I'm not going to mention it. Not going to do it.
Doing our best. Is Warren even alive after all that? Is Joker gifting 25 subs right now?
Nice.
Jesus, guys, you're going crazy. We appreciate
Trash,
the
come
support
sit down.
so much.
So many subs, Trash. Do you know what that's
Trash,
like?
come sit down.
Yeah, he has no idea. When's your talk, Trash?
Yeah, when's your talk? Can we react to your talk?
Oh, it did?
Wait,
I
it
thought they
did?
only had one screen, though, this year, didn't they? Oh. I thought they were only doing one stage this year. My bad on that. Cool. Well, I promise we'll go back and watch your talk eventually. I don't know if it'll happen live or not, but was it good? Okay. According to Trash, talk was okay.
All right.
So if we have time for some okay content, we might get there.
That sounds pretty exciting. I would love to watch mediocre content.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to watch it. I didn't realize we missed it.
Oh, it's on.
Yeah, you can come sit in
This
chat.
one's on.
Yeah, Trash, come sit down.
Yeah. An
I
honorary
don't know.
speaker.
I don't know what I'm gonna say. This brownie's really good. That's all I really wanted to tell you guys.
Oh, I appreciate the knowledge there. We're live right now.
Give me that
sorry.
brownie.
Trash, do you have any brownie in your teeth? You good?
Huh? I don't want to. Are you guys
Nerds.
live the whole time?
Yes. We're actually on the screen in the big room right now.
Sorry, you shouldn't have said that. Now I just put brownie on my teeth.
Yeah.
You got it everywhere.
So
Cool,
good.
right?
Tooth knocked out.
I didn't know we were on the screen.
Yeah.
You okay? Nervous now that
They
you're on the
took
big
the
screen?
internet down as they were putting us on the big screen, so I didn't actually know if or when it would be live, which was fun. But it worked out. It all worked out. Yeah, the team's working really hard to keep us online and get this all working. I'm proud of the setup and how well this is all maintained, especially with the chaos of like the noise levels and everything going on.
Theo, what time is your talk?
I have no idea. I should actually probably know the answer to that. I will go check.
My guess is that the internet is really hard to run, particularly here, considering, A, you're using up a good amount of bandwidth, right, to upload. And there literally is 1,000 cell phones all connected to the same, all trying to pipe through the same
They're all
router.
watching the stream.
Hey, look
Oh,
at that. That's
hey.
us.
Yeah, I.
See someone who's
maybe,
so cold
I
that
think
they're
that's
wearing
just
a
the.
beanie.
Yeah, this is just for the main
nice.
stage, so
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
main stage.
know.
No, I think no one watching the stream can see us do that. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
nobody watching can see us do this. I just want to
Oh,
find
look, it's clerk.dev.
when my talk
Is the stream gonna go when you're talking and Prime host it? Is that it?
No, I didn't
Take
realize
over?
that
Click
the,
on the schedule.
this one
Click on
was
the
running.
schedule right
Oh,
there.
is there a schedule button?
Yeah.
Cool. That's actually a good thing to click on. Yeah. Wow, we missed a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's because we don't get to see them all. We only see main stage. Oh, there's
So I'm at
Theo's.
212. The things Vercel won't show you. So for whatever reason, not only did Vercel invite me to be here for this, they also invited me to give a talk about the things that they won't tell you about Next.js. So,
So-
there's some fun cursed patterns in there, things that you probably shouldn't do, but I'll still recommend you do.
So I have a quick question. If there are things that Vercel won't tell you, but they invited you to talk at a conference, about the things they won't tell you. Are they telling you to do that?
No.
That kind of sounds like a passive invitation.
I'm telling them.
Like, hey, by the way, we're not saying to do this, but come on and tell us about it.
One of the things might have been from a Vercel employee, but when said Vercel employee showed that thing to the other Vercel employees that actually make Next.js, the response was, wow, that shouldn't work. Please don't do that. So
I'd recommend doing it.
Yes.
If
I
enough
will
people do
absolutely
it,
be
it'll
doing
become a feature. Just like rocket riding in Fortnite, it'll be fantastic.
Yep. That paper sounds real good, Trash.
Yeah, thanks, Trash.
Oh my God.
Amateur content creator. I'm sorry.
Learning your best. Yep.
You're not at your home
this
where you
is
can
the real
eat.
stream experience. For anybody who's watching this right now on the big screen, you've never watched a Twitch stream before, it is just this, us eating and making jokes at each other and occasionally bringing value. I'd say like once every hour or two.
Yeah.
I'm full of value.
Yeah, full of value.
He's
and brownie.
normally full of gummy lifesavers, but tonight it's value.
Was that a centerpiece or was that an edge piece that you just had?
It was definitely not an edge piece. It was pretty soft.
That's
it was
good.
Pretty soft. It was good.
You had full center?
It kind of tasted like full center. It's pretty squishy.
You know the
Very
trash
moist.
theorem, right? Which is at any point within 4 days, there will be a picture of a brownie with the center cut out of it that he will upload on Twitter. There's like a 4-day period of time where you can always find one.
We
And it
eat
gets
like
slightly
kings.
more
We eat like
painful every
kings.
time.
You like kings, baby.
Kings eat just the G. We call it the G spot at home. It's the good
the
spot.
taint?
No,
Is it
it's
the taint?
no, it's the good spot. You don't. That's not. It's not tainted at all. The double corner's the taint, whereas like the center, the gooey, the good.
Someone said trash is my spiritual animal.
Trash is.
I would not
I'm a
agree
human,
with that, but
I'm
it's
not
cool
an
that
animal.
you feel that way. Like,
Wow.
sorry, I think that's
Oh, we're bringing the claws out.
hot take.
Madison's dunking over here.
Oh.
Yeah, I personally would not agree with
I
that
personally
statement.
would not agree with that.
Makes me feel slightly uncomfortable.
Should see if there's
Human.
anybody
Wrong
else
choice.
worth bringing in for a quick chat. It would actually be cool to grab some of the speakers to talk about their talks.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah. And also Trash, I guess.
No, trash. No.
I hyped it up. I hyped. Everyone saw it. I hyped up Next.js, baby. You know,
To
nested
be
routes.
fair,
To be honest, I mainly use the app router for nested routes. Nested routes was just like something that it just made everything so much easier with it. You know.
It is, Ryan.
But
The
I also called out that I like configs better though.
Yep.
You know.
There's part of me that likes configs better. You know what I mean?
I like a good config file. You know.
I realize that no matter what you choose, it always slowly devolves into something I dislike.
Yep.
That's pretty much my take on any time it comes to routing.
Yep. I find with configs that
almost said something. You like leaned in like, ooh, that's too hot, too hot, too hot.
I try to lean back so you guys can, make that lovely eye contact. So I'm in the middle.
I find that configs like starting point is slightly worse, where like a basic website, it's just kind of silly that you have that all in a config file, and like file-based routing makes it easier to quickly grok like what is where. But once things start to get really complex, the configs carry you much further.
Yes.
There's a certain threshold where everything sucks, but there's a decently large window between when configs, between when like file-based routing gets chaotic and when configs get unmaintainable.
I try to avoid hitting that point at all costs.
Yeah,
I try to make it simple.
My goal is to be simple enough for long enough that tan-stack router is stable by the time I hit that level of complexity.
Ooh, I'm
Is that gonna
excited
go
for
on
that.
me?
No, I just took it off for you because you kept trying to put it on.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to put it on. Should I put it on?
Yeah.
Everyone
Gotta
was
blend
saying
in
who
with
has
us.
the bigger stash.
Madison
from
100%
these
does
guys.
not want to put that on.
I think I clearly have
She
the
really
bigger
doesn't,
mustache.
but she's
I'll put it on
feeling
for
the
a
pressure now.
Yeah, caving to peer pressure.
That's
Theo,
upside down.
I don't know.
Let me see.
You don't know how
there you go,
mustaches
I
look?
think. Yeah, that's the right way. You're good. Yeah, that's
all right, who
the
has a
point.
bigger mustache? Me or Trash Dev? Go. One in the chat for me,
What about
two in the
me?
chat for Trash Dev. Let's go.
Oh, wow.
It's huge.
You got
It's kinda
not
like-
much there,
I
too.
got a whole bag.
All right, Trash, you've
You
won.
grab your stash.
You've won with your amazing stash.
My stash is
Okay.
on my name tag.
The stash
live
has made
right now
such
on
a
the TV.
comeback.
So, okay. How can I ask a quick
So
question?
uncomfortable. How do you guys
Go ahead,
like?
ask
Aren't
it.
you like itching your nose all day with this?
Have you ever gotten used to
Once I
something?
kick trash out,
Have you ever gotten used to something?
Yeah.
You, I guess. I have to get
I
used
don't
to you. No. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Do you think about wearing socks?
around in excess of what we done.
It's like always touching your body and stuff.
Yeah, I
and
guess
it's
that's
weird,
true.
and you just forget about things, you know? I know. That was like math. I just mathed you so hard.
Yeah.
Get wrecked.
Just genius.
I'll take this back.
Can you bring someone else on?
Yeah, you gotta
we're
find
waiting
someone.
if we can find Michelle. Yeah, I wanted to bring the speakers who
I'll
we
keep-
watch the talks of, so we can talk
keep
about
my
the
eyes
talks. So we can talk while we talk and react while we react. You know,
Yeah.
Our
That makes
job.
sense.
Doing our best.
Okay.
I'm just reading the chat. Sorry.
Never read chat. Okay.
I'm reading the chat.
Me and Prime were meant to be the ones
Is
who
it
know
Next to
nothing
you?
about
Right.
Next.
An attempt was made.
That's fair. Okay, that's fair. I have used Next. Okay, Theo taught me Next.
Yeah. That
And then he
stream
showed me
still gets a lot of
T3 right
views.
afterwards
I
and was
use
like,
Next.
look how much better all this is than Next. I remember that happened.
Perfect.
Oh,
Looks great. Now we're talking. Perfect.
the new
A
T3,
plus.
the new T3 stack
Love
has
it.
taint in it.
Looks great. I think Michelle
T3
heard about
stack.
stuff
It's
too.
T4 now?
T4.
Yeah.
T3
Yeah,
plus
no,
taint, is that T4?
I've been
Yeah.
using Next. I feel like Next has become like how, as a front end dev, you had to learn React, and now you have to learn Next. Like, it's becoming like that.
Yeah.
In terms of new people coming in.
You don't have to
It's
keep it
just
on. It's
so-
not staying. An attempt was made. We appreciate the
I
effort.
tried.
I
Does
know
that
it's
mean
hard. It's a
people are
woman
going to
grow
say
mustache,
the
but-
following phrase? Well, I learned Next before I learned JavaScript. Am I going to
You're
hear
really
that
triggered by
phrase
that.
out of their
You're really
face?
triggered by that.
Their
I'm sorry.
face
But they are.
hole?
It is. Next is becoming this thing of like, yeah, React
So,
Next, learn immediately.
My,
JavaScript.
my hot take of
I'm
why
going to commit Sudoku if this keeps going on.
my hot take of why I actually really like people learning React through Next is that you shouldn't just be thinking about the front end when you're learning front end. Like front end is built on top of back end fundamentally, even if you're just serving an HTML file that is being served by a server of some form. And Next isn't pretending that the front end lives by itself anymore. So you are inherently doing a little bit of back end, even if you're just using Next as like a front end builder. You're at least thinking about it now and thinking about that relationship between the parts more. And I think that's almost always a good thing.
My wife, while we were at TwitchCon, called me up, and she had a whole group of people on the phone. Okay, there was at least 6 people, and they were like, "Hey, we have 2 questions for you." The first question was, "Who hid the bitcoins?" And I said, "Por qué, Maria?" And she responded with, "Well, you have to mine them and get them out. So who put them there to begin with?" It was the most adorable, beautiful question that 6 adult human beings ever asked me in my lifetime. The second one was, when I go to Amazon.com, where does that go?
I was trying to
it was
understand where you
just
were
like
going with this. I was very confused
It's
at
good to
first.
learn about a server, okay?
Full circle. Okay.
It's
Yeah, I
good
see
to
what
learn
you mean,
about a
like-
server, but I really
like
just
Theo
wanted to
was
mention
saying.
the
Yeah.
who hid the bitcoins because it's my current favorite thought that I have on the regular. I kind of giggle to myself every now and then, like, someone did hide the bitcoins if you think about it.
Oh, Prime.
I actually think I started using Next more when I watched that video that you did about Create React App.
Oh, that's a classic.
And that's when I really started going into Next.
I forget about that video. It still gets a decent number of views. That was a while ago. I did not know how to YouTube yet. That was like an hour and a
Great
half
video.
long for a video that should have been 10 minutes.
Lots of good stuff about the, Create issues.
I was seeing if I could throw off the focus. I've been noticing it's going.
Yeah.
Sorry. Me and Trash are
Sony
having our
and
own
their
little side
autofocus.
combo right now.
Sidebar.
Sidebar.
I would have
like
manual
every high
focused
school
if I
photo.
had people here sitting in the seats when I set everything up, so I got stuck left on auto for it.
That's
Dang,
okay.
He just said you were really late.
Yeah, dude, I was late. I walked in at I kid you, I was standing out there. I could like see into here, and I was just like, yeah, I gotta get in. They're like, where's your QR code? And I'm like, what?
That's so funny because I just walked up and I was like, I'm on the live stream and they let me in immediately. But then when you were talking to that guy and we came and got you, and then the security guy, he was like, why don't you just tell me that in the first place, Brian?
I don't want to be one of those people
like.
like, excuse me, I can't be dealing with lines and shit. Just, I'm speaking.
Yeah.
Get out of my way. Like, so I was like, I gotta like participate in the QR code.
I didn't mean you had to do it like that. You could have, okay. It's perfect timing.
I should have just walked by, said nothing.
Yeah. I have a real question now related to why we're here.
Yeah.
Okay, this one's for Theo. Okay, so if we want someone to learn Next.js, obviously they need to learn the backend because, API routes, etc. Do you think it's potentially too much for a newcomer to kind of grasp one, React and its ecosystem, then on top of that, whatever's specific to Next.js, and then on top of that, the whole backend stuff?
I think that learning fundamentals and building are different things. And the problem I saw previously was that people would try to build the full thing with just create React app and then quickly realize, oh, I guess I need one of these backend things. What is that? That's how we ended up with the Firebase chaos that we're stuck in to this day.
Firebase reference, called it.
Yeah, I think that like they just announced the NextJS Learn portal. We already have the incredible React docs and all the resources and stuff around that. I think learning React and learning like the basics of anything should be a separate process from building with it. Once you've learned those core fundamentals, which you should do on a website or a tutorial, not in a project that you've scaffolded and built, learn those things, or even have a tab by the side that you're going back to as you try building with those things. Do I think you have to learn a lot of things to build a full application? Yeah, but how much of each you have to learn depends on what you're building and what you're doing. And starting from the point of having like, I want to build a calculator for my World of Warcraft guild, or I want to build a website for my Minecraft server, or I want to build a better portal for people to check dogs into my local vet. When you have the thing you want to build, starting from there, trying, and then seeing what you don't know and what you need to learn more of, and then going and learning that tends to be a much better process overall. And with Next, yes, there is more surface area you have to think about because there's a back end and a front end now, but it comes with the benefit of you now know where those two things are and have a better point to Google search from. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I do think with the new RSC paradigm, it is kind of hard to understand at first where that divide is between the front end and the back end. Right?
Use client. That's where it's at.
Use client still
What is
server
the
vendor though, right?
Firebase chaos that you were talking about?
Oh, God. Google's a partner of Vercel, so I will keep my mouth shut for now.
Yeah, I was about to
Okay,
say, this is a professional stream, okay? I made no dick jokes today.
Feel free to go through my
really? You
any
didn't
of my
make it?
videos about databases or platforms, and you'll hear plenty of me talking about Firebase.
So this is something I've always been curious about, because now we're kind of in the day and age where people, how they learn is through a very practical means, right? A lot of boot camps, a lot of like, hey, to get started, we're going to start by, moving squares in JavaScript and launching a server in Express or whatever, whatever soup du jour of where we're at. And now it's Next.js. I always wondered if it is a nicer path, if it's better. I'm not saying it is or isn't, the whole university route. Is it still relevant today? Is it still good?
Yes.
Obviously, some people just naturally do better in a 4-year program. That's just like hands down, right? But I also learned how to program via Java. But nonetheless, I still learned how to do it and built like a terminal app. And so there's not like, I didn't have to know what a server was or what a request is. I didn't have to even think about how to get the datas. I didn't have to think about encoding and decoding. And, there's like thousands of steps you have to do to just do anything. Whereas like I kind of got all of that slowly over time. And then it just felt so easy to make those transitions because I was like, oh, yeah, server. I know what that is. I took a Linux class.
I think the value of university isn't just in like learning how to code and like these specific classes you take and all that. Like
blackout drunk.
I learned how to code before going to school, but I got so much out of my time in university. Largely like I dual degreed in audio engineering and software engineering, which was really cool. I got a lot more out of my audio program overall. But more importantly, I was surrounded with peers that were in a similar place. Like just talking to programmers every day, working with programmers, having them like just surrounding you and being that deep that way for 4 years during like one of the most important windows of your life from like 18 to 22. That's when you're like most primed to learn, most primed to make friends. And to this day, like half or more of my closest friends are programmers I met in school.
Yeah, that's fair take.
Like my CTO and roommates I met at university. Most of my investors for the first seed round at Ping, I met in university. These connections go so much further than any piece of paper ever could. And even if you just go for a year, make some friends, realize it's not for you and you want to have a job and drop out, A+, totally fine. The value is not just the degree, it's all of the opportunities of being surrounded by other people doing the same thing at the same time.
There's definitely obviously you can achieve anything without a degree, but, not fair. You can't become a doctor without a degree. But in programming world, you can pretty much achieve anything you want without a degree. But there is definitely like a multiplication factor of just having the same people. That's why I recommend quite frequently, I think TJ might have been the first person that pointed this out. I know, look at me, I'm giving attribution properly, which is that if you want to learn a new language, a great time to do it is Advent of Code. Because Advent of Code, there's like 9,000 people also all learning a new language at that exact moment, and you guys can all do the same problems on the. It's like a mini university feel for just a moment, and it's super cool.
What about with people who are, maybe you're over 25 and you're still thinking about that question? Because I do feel like there's this big debate, a question of, do you need a CS degree to be a developer?
I think it's easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're struggling to find community and like surround yourself with other people who are coding and learning to code, something like college can help a lot with that. But like, I would never recommend a remote college. That would be very hard for me.
That would
be
ruin every
completely
aspect.
pointless, yeah.
I do think it's really interesting because this debate of like, do you need a CS degree to be a developer? And then you have this one side that's like, yes, you need a CS degree to be a legit developer. You have like this other side that's like, you don't need a CS degree, and that's gatekeeping, the gatekeepers, right? But I think it's really interesting because I feel like what we should actually talk about more is that computer science fundamentals are helpful one way or the other, and you can learn them even if you didn't get a CS degree. And I feel like that's what a lot of like the self-taught crew, like including me, were missing for a while, is actually like understanding what is happening beneath the abstraction that you're working on and like digging into that. That's why I've been learning some C. Someone in the chat just said that, but that's literally why I've been learning C. Just trying to understand like what's going on beneath the hood more. Like when you learn JavaScript for the first time, I didn't even think about memory or what's happening. And then you learn that in other languages, you actually have to manually figure out, allocate your memory. And I just think it's so fascinating to, peek under the hood. Like that will make you a really good developer. So in like the whole debate, I feel like that's the part that's missing. Like we need to focus on that more and more curriculum for that, more video. You guys both rant about this a lot. And yeah.
I actually really disagree on this point. I think that there's two pieces that get missed a lot. So that's one of them. But the one I think is more important, and you've done a great job of working through this, is surrounding yourself with peers that are in a similar point of learning. Like learning how to code alone sucks, not just because learning how to code is hard, but because you don't know how much success you're having, if you're keeping up with others. And I've known developers who are some of the best developers I've ever talked to that feel like they're falling behind because all they're seeing is like the 3 influencers they follow on Twitter who are doing crazy stuff all the time. They don't have peers that have been programming for a year that they could compare themselves to and work with and learn and gauge their own learning. It can feel very, very lonely and isolating to learn how to code. And you've done a great job with this, with everything from your book club to your involvement in all these communities and stuff. Like you don't even see this to a point because you're just hanging out with us anyways. But the average developer, especially those getting started, are very lonely when they get started.
Yeah, I could see it.
Yeah. One more thing that's positive about college is that it has career fairs. Yeah. People like right now, you try to just cold turkey all those different jobs, hoping that you can get your first job by, applying to 10,000 places. You probably will eventually, but it's way, way harder. Whereas at a career fair at a university, you walk up and you're like, hey, I'm in my 3rd year. They're wanting to talk to kids in their 3rd year. And then they're also talking to you. You can talk to them, right? Like just even having a conversation that is 10 times more valuable, no matter how cool your Twitter is, your GitHub, anything. They just get to see you and go, oh, I like that person. Yeah, let's get a resume. Yeah. Let's get you in for 15 minutes. And then all your other stuff just multiplies.
Yeah.
And so that's where it's like, I don't know. I like that.
That is so interesting because I think a while back I wouldn't have expected you guys to have those takes, like so much more pro computer science. And that's not a very popular take on Twitter. It seems
it's also
like
one of my least popular videos.
Gatekeeper, you're gatekeeper if you say that.
That's because Twitter's filled with the stupidest people in the universe. The problem is you can only form one-dimensional thoughts on Twitter. So if you say you need a degree, then naturally people are like, well, technically. And you're like, I mean, yes. You can't explain all that in a tweet unless you're going to be the person that writes those gigantic expanding tweets. Nobody likes that, right?
I've never written a tweet beyond the characters. Like no one reads those, right? But I agree with Theo's point that learning to code can be very lonely, and unless you have some sort of community, you're falling off, or unless you really try hard to be online a lot. I don't know. I guess that's what I did.
And that has its own separate issues,
I used to watch your guys' YouTube videos. Now I'm here, so.
Yeah. It
started
works
from the bottom.
But most people, like one of the hard things you have to deal with in that scenario, if you're meeting these people online, is that you're meeting the people who are the most visible are the ones who are the most successful, and keeping up with them is going to be incredibly hard.
Oh yeah, keeping up with these guys. Oh my gosh. I mean, and that's great because I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. I want to be around developers who are better than me, so I can get better and just like tonight everyone's having a drink and I can learn and listen. But also, it's hard to keep up. Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Would you leave the room if you were the smartest person in the room?
Would I get up and walk away right now? You mean? No, I'm just kidding.
You know that phrase, right? Don't be the smartest person in the room.
I can leave if you want me to.
I'm not accepting that even as a joke. Look at me not
Would I leave the room if I was the smartest person in the room?
I had
No.
to. I'm sorry.
No.
Okay. I always hated that phrase. Sorry, I know we're kind of tangenting
I
here.
love that phrase.
You know why I
I
hate
do
it?
too.
It's
Well, at
because
what point do you stay?
yeah, because the problem is every room would have to be empty
Yeah, because everyone leaves.
because everyone would eventually have to leave.
Everybody is smarter than somebody else in some way.
Yeah, I mean that's the
That is
real
true.
answer is
See,
that
see,
being
right
too
reference.
smart is multifaceted. But nonetheless, like if you really applied that rule judiciously, there's sometimes where you enter a room and you just are the smartest person in the room because it's just like, hey, we're going to talk about the thing you've done for the last 10 years, and you're like, I'm really good at the thing we've done for the last 10 years. It's like
Yeah.
I just don't. I don't.
You want
really,
that person to stay in the room and teach others if they want, be helpful. type of
Every
thing.
person has
Yeah.
ability to multiply a problem, and it's just like I'd rather try to make people more multiplies than less. I'm not trying to like shit on your favorite phrase or anything. I just personally want to shit on that phrase.
I mean,
Okay,
fine, I don't care.
It just makes me angry.
I get it. Yeah.
There's something
I
about
like the
that
general
phrase that makes.
concept of just always be learning from,
Yes,
surround yourself
I
with
like
smarter
that.
people, and then you will grow. Kind of like the college point that Theo is making. You're making. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. See, all mine.
I find that trying to teach someone a topic you know makes you learn it better. If I want to get smart at a topic, I don't try to find people smarter than me. I try to teach people that are less qualified than me.
I just make a YouTube video where I use it incorrectly and read the comments.
That's also one of the single greatest ways to learn
Well,
is
like
to
a
say
course.
something wrong on the
How do you
internet.
guys feel
course
then
or
about
talk.
learning something and teaching it as you learn, or like you just learned this thing and now you're going to be immediately teaching it possibly on
That's
your
when the
channel? How do you
knowledge
guys
is the
feel about
freshest.
that? Yeah.
Like if I was to teach Next right now, it would be much worse than if I taught it a year ago when I was much deeper in the weeds with it, building with it every day. But yeah, I think it varies a lot. Depends on the goals, like how definitive of a resource you're creating. Something I've got feedback on a lot is in a lot of my older tutorials that weren't tutorials, it's just me building live. People loved that they were watching me debug and deal with errors. But now that I'm planning my tutorials ahead,
No
it's
errors.
an actual planned thing. Way fewer mistakes. I'll still intentionally bake some in, but it doesn't feel the same. And people have definitely noticed the difference there. There's a lot of developers who it feels good to see what it actually looks like to work and learn through a thing. So if it's a resource in the sense, not that this is the definitive way to learn HTMX, but this is me learning HTMX with you, so you can both learn the framework and you can learn how I learn things. That's a whole different experience that can be very valuable.
Yeah, I love when I see you guys solving a bug live on
Says,
stream.
let trash talk.
Oh, sorry, Trash.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I have a lot of thoughts, but I'm not gonna say.
Wait, seriously?
I'm still in the college part in my head. I'm like,
do it.
I'm like,
Let's hear your
He's
college
just
takes.
empty on the inside, really,
Yeah,
is what's
Trash, I wanna
happening.
hear
He's
your-
I have like
shit,
this
what were we
huge
talking about?
queue of just things I want to say, but I'm just.
Someone left a comment. and it
No,
said-
no. So we're gonna rewind to the college part. I would say.
I'm telling you to lean in.
Okay.
There you go.
I think, at least specifically in America, college is a privilege. So it's like not everyone, it's not accessible, at least in the US, right? So it's easy to say, yeah, you should go to college and get a degree. But the reality is, in America, it's extremely hard, right? Like in Europe and stuff, I don't know. From what I hear, it's like free in some cases. I don't know. Talking to like Julius and others,
Yep.
it's like considerably cheaper. But in America, it's like
For
State university is like $3 grand a year.
yeah,
You can-
so
I
like
mean,
so back
that's
to
where I went.
Yeah, so like back to your comment about like you could potentially go to a career fair, right? But I will say like companies do handpick those schools, right? Like Ivy League, et cetera, which are like known for just being insanely expensive.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying don't get a college degree, but I'm speaking specifically in America. It's just like it's tough. It's for sure like it's way tougher.
I'm actually much less for the spending the big money to go to the big school. That's not something I recommend very often at all. And the career fair isn't one of the benefits I push for that reason. What will happen though is one of the people from your state or local school will end up working at a cool company through connections they already have or friendships or whatever. And if they remember you as one of the peers that stood out in any way, shape, or form, you will get that referral. And
Yeah, I
the way
agree
you
with
get
that.
your first job is almost always a referral. It's
Yeah.
so hard to get that first gig otherwise.
I agree with that, but I also like the internet now. Assuming you're like a somewhat outgoing person or extroverted, you can make those connections online through open source and et cetera, et cetera. It's easier said than done, 100%. But I will say you can definitely go that route if you can't
but
go the other way, right?
If you go to college planning to go for 4 years, and then that route ends up working out in your first year, there's no shame in dropping out.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
that's
that
fair. That's fair.
the default, the base recommendation, the same way we say you should use TypeScript, it's not because you shouldn't use JavaScript or you shouldn't use Rust. It's a really good starting point. and when you're ready to move to something else, you'll know and you'll make the right call. I think you should go to college if you're wanting to become a programmer. Is a similar take where like it's not that you have to get a degree or you're not a real programmer, and it's not anybody who doesn't go to school is irresponsible. It's the base starting point that I recommend if you're looking to get into code and you can go to university. You should start there, and if better opportunities happen, you should take those better opportunities.
And if they can't, I would say join your Discord server, right?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Got a lot of people
T3
jobs in
sub.
that Discord.
That's what we're talking about. Yeah, I mean, I was getting a master's in ML. You may have heard of it. Pretty popular topic these days. And I dropped out to work at Netflix.
I didn't know
you
that.
work there?
Gross. Yeah, gross, trash.
Imagine
Is that
working
kind
at
of like
Netflix.
Hulu?
It is literally just like maybe like a kind of like a littler brother to Hulu.
So you got the opportunity when you were in school, and you decided go work at Netflix.
I said F that racket and
Pause
went
the
straight to.
Masters.
He's like, give me that bag, baby.
I didn't pause it. I did not pause it. I threw it in the garbage.
Yeah, I think that's the right call.
I
Like, if you
just-
have an opportunity that's more exciting than college and you've made the connections you want to make, you're ready to move on,
You can
do
always
it.
go back, too.
Yeah.
It's there forever.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's harder. That's not a real
Yeah.
thing.
Going
I feel
back.
like I
problem
would do
is-
better in college now at my maturity level
These
than I
gifts
was
are
when I
going
was
crazy.
in college.
Thank you, CD, for the gifts.
Right?
I'm curious about that. I'm curious if that's a real thing.
I don't know, but I feel like if I went to college now, I would take it way more serious. And
Yeah.
because when I was in college, I just played video games and
Yeah.
partied. You know what I mean?
See, I was just on the recently quitting meth train, so I was
Yeah.
pretty dang serious at that point. So I got a 2.16 in high school, and I got like a 3-something up, 3.5, 3.6. I almost doubled my GPA
In college?
in college versus high school.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Did you switch to Rust?
Rust
numbers.
wasn't even invented then.
This was like, what, 73?
Trash, you are old, making old people jokes.
I'm
I don't-
21.
Yeah, okay.
I don't have a mustache.
Trash is in high school.
I know.
But he's clearly in high school.
I gotta go fly to UCLA after this. I have a class. Yeah.
Second most type-safe high schooler.
There you go. Oh, my hat.
Shut up, Christine.
Low level learning.
It actually says Christine on his badge.
It does. Earlier I was
Someone's
like,
trolling me at Vercel, 100%.
Yeah.
This is so good.
I want answers.
Well, yeah. What's your position? Classic department head hairstylist. That is clearly a
It's
troll.
not real. It's not real.
Clearly.
It's messed up.
One of the hosts, when I grabbed your panel or your badges for you guys, I was so hyped that yours just said Prime. She's like, "Oh my God, is that like a problem?" Like I was hoping he would be cool with that, like the way that you use Theo. I was like, he's gonna like that it just says Prime. You're too
Yeah.
worried. And
This is.
I feel like Prime is becoming a thing. I never call you the Primeagen. I
should've
always call
been
you
a
Prime.
Gen.
I,
Yeah.
I feel like it's becoming a thing.
Yeah,
It's too long to say the Primeagen.
It's like
You can
Logan
say
Paul.
one
Prime.
thing.
It's always
Drop
been Prime.
the Gen.
No, well, first off, I can't get that handle. That's like an impossible handle to get.
Wait, what handle?
Prime.
Oh, it's impossible. Yeah,
that'd
yeah.
be
It's like trash. It's like a basic word of the of the language.
Wait, someone said, why are they ordered by height? Oof.
Yeah.
Should we stand
Happens.
up? Okay.
I can't
Theo,
keep that position.
your gorgeous hair is adding a little height too.
It
Just a
is.
little bit.
It helps. It does. I was already tall.
you're
and then
also
I did
extremely
that.
tall, yeah.
Yeah. It happens. Do this to myself. We have another 20 minutes, I think, of being on the big screen before they cut back to the real content.
Nice. I'm glad we could not entertain them for this long.
I would check the viewership, but I'm scared to see the number.
Don't check it. It's
Oh,
not
it's
worth
like
it.
Don't check
YOLO.
it.
Hashtag it.
like
It's not worth
50K.
it.
Guys.
They're still getting 800 on the live stream, so they only went down by like 200-300. So that's,
Nice.
Yeah, I guess
We're
we're
doing
good
well on the
content.
live. On the,
Twitch is doing
Should we bring
good.
someone on?
Yeah,
Oh,
I always
that's
check my
Twitchy.
Twitch. What's Twitch at?
1.1.
Oh, not bad. Especially since we went down twice.
Yeah.
You know.
Hey, that's pretty neat.
It's because you're
Yeah,
here,
people
Trash.
want to be here.
Yeah,
it's
trash.
true. I mean,
Yeah.
We want you.
Okay, one's in chat
I-
if you're here for trash.
One in chat if you're here specifically.
please. If I don't know you, just please.
Oh yeah,
I
there
don't know
we
you.
go.
I saw zero
Bash
from
Buddy.
Bash.
Yeah, Bash Buddy said not.
Is this what
Bash
it's like
did
to be
zero.
famous?
This is.
Oh, Jacob. See, Jacob. Wait, he's putting zeros. Never mind.
Yeah. He mistyped and put a 1.
I just realized Sam Lambert was texting me, letting me know when we were down. That would have been very helpful for me to have noticed earlier.
All right.
I have an actual.
Tell us about your book club. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no,
Let
no,
trash
no,
talk.
no,
Let
no,
trash
no,
talk.
no.
Hashtag it. Hashtag that.
No, I want to
My
hear
book
about.
club was started when I was learning to code, and it was very lonely, like we were talking about. I was by myself, living with my parents at the time, trying to learn to code.
Sorry, keep
Living
trash
in the
short is very
basement.
funny.
Keep trash short. And so I started a book club that eventually got, we have like 10,000 people on our Discord, but it's still ongoing weekly now, and we've read like 10 coding books. But we also do like leak codes and things too, because there's a bunch of people on Twitter or in different Discords, but actually meeting up on Zoom is like people really don't do that as much. Like actually trying to have some sort of real interaction where you're speaking, writing code and things like that. So yeah, it's all about trying to create a community if you didn't get the CS degree, but you're still trying to learn this stuff. Yeah, we were just reading Cracking the Coding Interview, super famous book. I feel like trying to go over
I feel like
algos.
I feel like there might be some bias there with that book.
Yes,
it's a great book though. I can't tell you how many interview problems I've had right out of the gates of that book.
Do you get a commission from your sister?
No. She's not involved. I wish. That would be cool.
It is a good book, though.
It is a good book.
I abused it.
All right, follow-up question, which is, all right, so I'm new to programming. I'm looking somewhere to be. First off, Theo, why haven't you linked her Discord link in the chat? Second off,
I can't chat.
I'm new. How do I jump on to this moving train? Is it really just joining the Discord? Is it moving fast? Do I need experience? What does it take?
Actually, it depends on where we're at in the books, like in the book series. So I think like reading Cracking the Coding Interview, I wouldn't say a beginner should have joined that one, because should you as a beginner learn algorithms immediately? But we've done other beginner-friendly ones. I don't know. I know you guys have opinions on data structures and algorithms, but yeah.
One more question. Do you accept people who struggle with reading? I know Prime's been looking for a group to hang out with.
Do you have are you guys gonna read the book like cracking the reading out loud thing?
Reacting to the coding interview.
Reacting to
Okay, here, actual question. Do you think the books are helpful? Like within like this specific like scenario of you all meeting up weekly, like what's keeping you accountable? Like, do you think it's been like working in general?
So I think in the beginning, so we've been doing this since 2020. It's been how many years is that? We've been doing it for a while. I think that.
Oh no, I'm seeing F's in chat. Is the stream down?
Oh no.
Is the stream down?
Guys,
refresh?
is the stream
it doesn't seem down. Back up. Okay, we're back.
Oh,
cool.
we went down?
I guess so.
Anyway, long story short.
You guys missed it. I just told a crazy story.
If you do coding problems, if you just read a book, that's probably not as useful. If you do the coding problems and actively work on them with other people, I think that's where it gets useful. But I run into the problem where you're just reading a programming book and you're not really doing anything, right? It's like watching a coding tutorial. You're not actually really learning. You're just watching. You've talked about this. You're watching how someone else did it.
You got to advent and code it up.
Yeah.
Sorry. Advent of Code is incredible and one of the best resources for, like, the amount I have gotten from Advent of Code as a single thing is just absurd.
Do you have a video on that?
I have a couple, but they're actually, I think one is, I forgot what specific title is, but like this programming challenge made me a good programmer or something like that I put out end of last year when I was doing it. I love those challenges. For those who aren't familiar, Advent of Code is a yearly code challenge that starts in December for the entire year, for December 1st to the 25th, like an Advent calendar, like the little thing you'd take chocolate out of as a kid who celebrates Christmas. And the Advent of Code challenge is a new programming problem gets released every day at around 9 p.m. Pacific time, midnight Eastern time. And when that problem comes out, it has two parts, and you can only see the first part. You can do whatever you want to solve it. You can write code. You can do it by hand. There's this one person who does it in Excel. You just have to give the numeric answer that's based on your unique input. They give you a long input. You have to process it, do whatever you want with it. And as long as you get the right answer, you get to move on to the next part. And when you're doing this, there's literally hundreds of thousands of other people doing the exact same problems. Many are doing it in the same language, many are doing it in different languages, many are doing it in the craziest ways you can imagine. But it's this huge community of people that are solving these really increasingly difficult problems in increasingly unique ways. And it's such a powerful way to improve yourself as a developer, work with other developers solving problems in interesting ways, and just do cool stuff.
I usually like to solve about days 1 through 10 for me. I know you go all the way.
It gets masochistic by the end, but I do the whole thing every year.
I think if you're looking just to gauge if you can be successful in an interview, if you can get through 1 through 10, that's like a pretty good way to know I can do, like, other than getting completely blindsided by a question I've never heard of and I have no idea the data structure, you're going to just kind of go through.
I agree with that.
Point.
10 to 12 is like the sweet spot.
Yeah.
And after that, it's like, man, it just
gets so hard.
It's just, I can't even like. My ADD, I'm just like reading halfway through. I'm like, I don't care anymore.
Most years they'll usually have like between 5 through 7. There will be one that's just like way too hard just to throw people.
It's always tedious ones too. Where it's just like there's 19 states and you need to make a combinatoric of all of them.
Yeah.
In code.
There was only like 2 or 3 of those last year, but the year before had a lot of really tedious ones. There was one year where they had a recurring I forgot what it was like. You had to make your own assembly interpreter.
Oh,
and
that was
every
one of the
other
best ones.
problem would make you continue iterating on it. So if
I
you blew
love
one
that
day,
one.
it sucked. So they haven't done that since, thankfully. But yeah,
That was my favorite because that was actually rebuilding the int computer on the Apollo whatever. And you're like effectively rebuilding what NASA had at one point. It was super cool. It was awesome.
NASA
that was
engineer.
the opcode one. Dude,
Yeah.
that was so I actually wish they did that again. Where they actually had like a progressively harder story over time. Oh man, what that message say? That
it was,
deleted
it
by
was,
the
I'm
modem.
11
so
years old, teach JS. So
yeah.
fun Twitch fact, even memes like I'm 12, what is this?
TOS, baby.
Will actually get you toss banned for being 13 or under on the platform. So be very careful when you make jokes like that.
I've also kicked somebody out of a Discord because they're like, I'm 12 or something like that. I'm like, you gotta go.
Yeah, so in order to get your Twitch account back, if that happens, you actually have to send a picture of your ID to support.
And if you're 14, good luck with your ID.
Yep,
Lol,
this is a real
loser.
thing. Yeah, it's
Age,
automated.
sex, location.
Poor little
Oh, dang. You're 12. Get the hell out of here.
Dang, guys.
Anyone? Old AOL days? You guys are all
ASL?
young.
ASL,
Oh, yeah,
baby?
I know. You see, you're old. You're out of
AOL?
yourself.
I'm normal.
ASL.
I'm normal, baby.
What's normal?
It's
Somewhere between me and Prime.
a value that is 1 would be
Oh,
normal.
you got your energy back. You had your coffee. You calmed.
I know.
but now you're
Calm
coming
down.
back
He's got
up.
his
I know. I'm
Terso
starting.
swag
I'm
on.
starting to get a
You're
little
starting to
juicy.
I need to find some caffeine at some point. I'm dying out here.
Straight over there. in
Yeah, I
that
don't
corner.
drink coffee though.
Jamie, give me some lattes.
Yeah,
We've
there's
been over
lattes
this.
up there.
I need a tea.
I
I
feel
don't
like
think
that's-
they
Okay,
have
what's your favorite
but
tea? If you say some regular ass tea, you're not a real tea drinker.
I'm not a real tea
Earl-
drinker.
Earl
I'm a
Grey?
caffeine hunting tea
Teabag
drinker.
you. What is it? What do you like?
Earl Grey or black?
Oh, I was right. I drink
simple.
black coffee. Like
I
a
didn't know you
murder.
don't drink coffee.
Not a coffee drinker.
So just only teas, caffeinated teas.
Yep. I don't normally have too
So
much
you're like,
caffeine,
a,
honestly.
you're like a British coder.
Yeah.
They drink
Yeah,
tea.
Matt Pocock and I are the two.
Too?
The two
Yeah.
British TypeScript guys.
Once you get good at TypeScript, you start finding yourself craving Earl Grey.
Yep, that's
Start-
how it goes.
You just start writing
Guess I'm
everything
not
in
Yeah, and then
teas.
like you suddenly grow a
Everything
mustache.
starts with a T.
Teas. Hey,
Yeah.
speaking of TypeScript and teas and all that, when's your site coming out?
Oh, we're in early access, baby. TypeHero.dev.
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 What the hell's TypeHero.dev?
It's for masochists that like TypeScript. It's
You-
basically leak code for types.
Okay, lead code for types. Okay.
So if you know Anfu, who's done like Vue.js, all that stuff, he has the type challenge repo.
Yes,
And
I've used
so
it.
Matt Pocock got me on that, and I got addicted for like 2 months of just doing type
I
challenges.
remember that,
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
you were live streaming them for a while.
I was live streaming doing type challenges. Remember that? I was
Yeah.
doing like
Yeah.
type challenges.
You were, like,
I-
ripping out
I
your
was-
hair.
I was addicted, and then I went to TRPC. I was like, I gotta apply this to real world. So then I found TRPC through Theo, and I was like, let's see what I'm made of. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna make a whole ass website. And here we go.
He made an ass website,
An
if
ass
you can
website.
believe that.
Remember the type
Legit.
challenge I gave you that we just devolved into building
Oh, the one
pattern
with the
for?
bug? The one with
yeah.
the bug?
Yeah. Good times.
Did
Yeah.
you hear? Oh, sorry. Keep going.
I was gonna say, I had one
Types are
hard TypeScript problem ever. I had an object that would take a validator that had like a type signature, and it would also take an action that was a function. I wanted to infer the input on that from the validator in the same object, but backwards inference in objects with keys just straight up doesn't work. It's entirely broken. And it's like the one time I need to do a somewhat hard TypeScript thing. I was like, there's no way this is this broken. Like, I have to be doing something wrong here. So I posted the snippet. I had Trash come in. I had a couple other like TypeScript wizards come in. They were going back and forth for like 2 weeks on it until multiple issues were filed on TypeScript. I think somebody put up a PR trying to fix it, but like that was chaos.
Can I tell you a story now?
Sure.
I haven't watched /read it. I don't even know if it's a video or an article, but its article name is I Made Flappy Birds in TypeScript Types.
Oh man,
I know. So I'm just like, what the hell is this? I gotta look at it.
I'm scared.
There's also the other one where he did the something of life problem. What's it
Conway's.
called? Conway. There you go. Sorry, my head.
Conway keeps coming up
Someone
today.
did that in
Conway's
Someone did that in
Game of
TypeScript.
Life.
In TypeScript.
I did an HTMX. What? HTMX mentioned Warren buffering drunk.
Oh my god. I swear you are HTMX.
I have a serious
could've sworn
question
you're the
for
same
Prime.
person.
Yeah.
Are you ready? Did you lick this microphone? That's not yours.
Oh, does it stink?
No, but I have
This
rubbed
one smells
my
like
face
Prime.
on it. No, Tanner Lindsley he did put
I
his
feel
face
like
on
I
it.
saw a lick.
Ooh, it smells like tan stack.
And when you smell it,
Smells like
smell
Queries
it. Just take a big
pacing.
smell because it's all brand new.
Yeah,
So it
good
has this
form
really,
smell.
it has that new electronic smell, and there's just something so amazing about new electronic.
I hate you all
I
so
think
much.
it's like
This
that's
one
like
smells like
gasoline.
cash.
Some people think it smells good. Some people
Did you just say
don't.
gasoline?
Gasoline, yeah.
What the hell?
You like
Some people-
smelling gasoline?
Some people love the smell. Some people don't.
It's not
Oh,
bad.
I do love the smell of
Gasoline's
gasoline.
not bad.
Yeah. I could
Some
lose
people hate
all
it.
my brain cells.
I love it too.
I could just.
just want to sit there and let it.
But I mean, it's
or
probably
a
saying
Sharpie.
you
I
have
feel
a
like
problem.
you're gonna use this as
Sharpies.
an
I could
interview
draw
question
my
going
own mustache
forward.
in Sharpie just to enjoy that.
Yeah.
Oh my
And
goodness.
just be like eyes rolled.
Just immediately filter out anybody who says they like the smell of gasoline, so they can't be trusted.
I agree with this. I agree with this phrase. My mom would let me smell a Sharpie. Hold on, I know that sounds really bad, but she said just one smell because it causes brain damage if you do it too much. So I just one smell because then I wasn't too curious. I didn't run away and like smell it like 9,000 times.
Yeah.
She's just like just once, but you can't, you know. Oh man, I
Clearly
could,
that left an
parenting.
impression.
What are we
Technique.
talking about
Yeah.
right now?
huh?
Good parenting technique. I could see it.
Yeah.
It's actually the same way I recommend using unsafe in Rust.
Exactly. Just use it
Just once, get a smell.
Just a little
Remember
once,
that one time
taste
that
it.
Prime taught us Rust on Advent and Code?
It was awful. It was so hard. God.
I was using Vim though, and you were proud of me. Remember that?
Dude,
Oh
hell
yeah,
yeah.
that's when you were on his stream, right?
I'm
He was on my stream,
Yeah, I was
Oh,
on.
by the way.
Sorry.
Superior
By the way.
stream, superior
On
streamer.
the better Netflix stream, by the way.
By the way, I'm not a Netflix stream. By the way, I'm just a regular
Yeah,
ass
regular,
man.
regular
So
ass man.
Prime was teaching Trash Rust.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
How
also
did that
taught,
go?
he taught Theo too.
Trash
yeah.
was much more receptive. Clearly, great coder.
Clearly.
Theo loves Elixir.
Yeah.
I am Elixir curious. My manager's an Elixir div, and he just keeps like shilling it to me in my one-on-ones.
Yep.
And,
We
you know,
do
I
that.
was like, man, I'm Elixir curious.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I'm
funny.
Elixir
I have now
curious.
coded in TypeScript significantly longer than I did my Elixir production stint, but I still miss it every day. It's an incredible language. Although I did take down production because I used a lowercase p instead of an uppercase p once.
Ooh,
Classic.
Small P
Yeah.
mistake.
That's small P energy right there. He can tell
Yeah.
right away.
Small p, big O.
By the way, it works.
What?
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 I need a cafe.
I can show you where one's at.
We have 6 minutes, guys. You can
6?
hold together for 6 more minutes.
Oh, we got this.
Yeah, we
Hold-
absolutely
okay.
got this.
I have so many
Madison, are you
thoughts in my
okay?
head
Are
right
you
now.
sniffing that microphone right now?
I had an
Still?
itch.
You
and I
are.
was
I'm
using the
like in an
microphone.
internal
it
struggle
feels
to know
so
what I
good.
can and can't say. Because
Really?
on my stream, I say messed up things.
Oh yeah, no, you can lean pretty far into it. I've leaned in
It's the
pretty
last
hard.
6 minutes. What are they going to do?
No, that's a good point.
You gotta be who
Yeah, your
you
talk
are.
already
You
aired.
guys hanging out tonight?
I have no idea what I'm doing tonight. I have to get all my equipment home somehow at some point. But other than that, I have no idea what's up.
Yeah. What's up?
I don't know. After party? I think.
After party, yeah.
Potential.
At the
that
hotel
game
lobby.
place?
Prime and I have to film a
Holiday Inn?
video with Guillermo in a bit.
Oh.
We do?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do.
Do
We
we
do.
know what it is about?
Oh
or
yeah.
spoilers?
This thing
Really?
is gonna. This thing is gonna
No
be a
spoilers.
10,000 like. This is
Whisper
gonna.
in my
be a
ear,
big
guys.
one.
Whisper in my
10,000
ear.
like.
No.
Yeah.
And after last year's,
And we have to
with,
do the same thing again, where we each do the thing.
Yeah.
You know
absolutely.
what
What?
I remember last year's, which was like CEO of Vercel destroys open source dev, and it was you guys playing ping pong and you sucking at ping pong.
I won that game, by the way.
Did you?
Yes,
Oh, yeah,
because
yeah,
I
you
let
came
him
through
get
at the
9
end.
points on me,
Yeah.
and then I beat him from 0 all the way to 10.
You did do
believe
that
it.
somehow.
I had to hot dog him. I hot
That was
dogged the
epic.
poor man. He had no idea what was going
The
on.
hot dog? What does that mean?
Yeah, no,
You know
I don't
what
know what
that
that means
means.
either. I genuinely don't.
I don't know how it happened, but I decided to start using the term hot dog to like replace it with bamboozled. It just is such a funny phrase to be like, I hot dogged that man. They're like, what?
Glizzy.
It doesn't even sound
Trying to make
sexual,
hot
but I
dog
don't even
happen.
know how to take this in right now. It's confusing.
That is confusing.
It is
I like
super
it.
fun. Yeah. I like using words that almost sound right. One of my favorite phrases is by Cam from chat, if Cam's ever in this one. He would say left-handed cigarettes. It's just like those like little phrases that like kind of kink your mind
I
for a
don't get
quick
it.
second. Where that's the point. There is no such thing as a left-handed cigarette.
Oh, I thought it was like cigarette smokers know this. I
No,
don't
it's
know.
just, no, these are left-handed cigarettes. You can't have. It's just like there's something so funny about.
It's a good one. I appreciate that
Oh,
one.
sorry. Oh my goodness. Is this thing?
So apparently they originally
It's
had
IKEA.
planned to give us a folding table, like a crappy like.
I'd
just
rather have a
random
folding
one.
table than a table with wheels.
Honestly, yes, but
I'm like,
They don't lock? They should lock.
yeah, those ones might have gotten unlocked at some point. I can deal with that later, but I don't care enough. Yeah, the apparently the other table that they had didn't have any way to mount the mics, and they didn't have like normal freestanding mic stands. So this is what we ended up with. I'm happy that we
That's a
pulled
nice
this
setup.
together in just a couple hours because we were not ready at all before. I had to take multiple Uber trips to grab a bunch of stuff for it. It worked out.
This
we
is nice.
pulled it off.
You can
Thank
see
you.
everybody.
Yeah, it's weird just being in
It's
the
a good
middle of
setup.
the room doing a podcast so everybody else is like around. People keep coming up and like, yo, Theo, can we chat? I'm like, I'm literally live right now. I'm sorry.
No one said that to me.
Literally no one
No
said
one
that
even
to
knows
me.
who I am.
Not a single
Everyone thinks I'm
person.
Christine, so.
No one knows who I am either. It's like,
Yeah.
Who's the girl?
Who are you?
I'm the, yeah, you're who's
you're
that girl?
Yeah.
What are you guys doing with a
the
girl?
code
That's
interview,
crazy.
girl, right?
That's Twitch chat right now. Is this?
Oh my God, you're the real girl? You wouldn't understand.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. This is
I
actually
don't
Bash
understand what
Bunny.
I'm saying
She's
right now.
a legendary Golang developer.
Yeah, you may have known Bash Bunny. Right here.
We miss
Live.
you, Bash Bunny. Wish you were here. We were gonna get ready to get
I-
into our
I
hair
am
They
together.
made a
Bash.
Madison commanded YouTube chat. So
Oh, yay! Thank you. Yeah.
Yay.
What does that mean when you do that?
That's an Arch user shocked that there's a real girl, a real one. Wouldn't understand.
Yeah, I can't relate. I've been on macOS for like 8 years. Yes, I could start talking to my mom again because I went back to Mac.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still can't. I don't have audio.
Rip. You'll get working
Classic.
someday. I heard Alsa's doing okay nowadays, right? Is that the one?
I've programmed a little bit of the ALSA driver, and I actually got audio to work by using C and actual ALSA.
I feel like
But
there-
using Linux and just playing it with like a headphone, I struggle sometimes.
I feel like there's more people who have contributed to Alsa than have actually gotten it working reliably.
What is ALSA? Salsa without
Another
the S?
Linux sound
Yes.
something.
No, he's right. It's
talking
just
about
salsa.
salsa?
Salsa
without
without
Oh, I
S.
love salsa
Oh.
on chips. Is that the topic?
It's salsa.
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 Spicy ALSA?
Is that some spicy alsa?
Jalapeno ALSA? I can go all day. I can keep
Is that habanero alsa?
queso and ALSA.
Y'all can't be stopped.
Dude, we were in the partner lounge at TwitchCon and we were just saying the same thing for like 20 minutes.
There's
just
a lot
cracking
of them.
up.
Is that pico de gallo or alsa?
Dude, I want ALSA.
These.
All these
Alsa, these nuts.
Oh.
Got
Hi,
him.
You made
ladies,
it
the
so
hi, ladies.
long.
Hi, ladies.
So long. We've been on the stage for like an hour 20. You just lit up the first D's Nuts joke.
I know. I've been
Wait, no, you did have. I thought there was one earlier.
There was
right?
one earlier, but it wasn't on
slipped in.
stage. It was just.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
This
thought it
one's.
was.
This one's. Put it on stage. Okay. Kind of a big deal.
The
Are you-
chat. We are all primes away.
Are you guys
Yes.
all here the whole until the end of the
Wait,
conference?
what?
I don't know when the conference ends, but I'll be around. I don't know how long
Yeah.
we'll be doing this for. I'm honestly probably not going to go too much longer after we're off the big screen, but I do think we're about to get off the big screen. So one last thank you to NextConf for having our chaotic little crew here. If you're not already familiar, I'm Theo, t3.gg, search Theo Dev, you'll find me. This is Madison Kanna with a K, K-N-N-A. We have ThePrimeagen, who you don't need to look up, trust me, it's for the better. And then
Trust
Trash
us.
Dev, who has a really silly face on Twitter. If you see like a poorly like MS Paint drawn
Where's Shatsian? I need
circle
to
with
meet
eyes.
him.
Shad did not make it, sadly.
No way.
Yeah.
Yahweh.
That's the reason why I came.
Thanks for the shout out.
Understandable.
I appreciate
Yeah,
the
thank you.
shout out.
Thank you for the
speed
shout.
at
Thanks
which
for
this
having
room
me.
got quiet once people started moving was insane. That was intense.
But no.
I'm so shad now. That's a good one.
Thanks,
Let's see if
everyone.
we're still on the big
Is that
screen.
your mustache? Disgusting. Hey, thank you, everybody.
that
Take care.
Mark.
Live.
If we're
We are
still
on
live,
the big
oh,
screen.
Are we
still
still
live.
live? Okay.
Yes, we're no longer live on the big screen for them at least. We're still live on our stream, but
All right.
not on that one.
Are you guys just hanging
Hello,
out?
chat.
I'm going to hang out for a
Cool.
bit. I want to get some like water and
Yeah.
chill out
I'm
for a
gonna
moment.
wander
Yeah.
off.
Hey, Chad, can I say
think
a big
this
thank
might be
you
a
for?
good time for us to sign off. I think
Yeah,
I'm cool with that.
But before we do, I just want to say a big thank you to Chad for hanging out, making this
Yeah.
really fun. I think it's awesome that you guys all stuck around, especially through all the stupid things we've had to say. I want to
Yeah.
say sorry to Warren Buffering for taking 1,900 shots with me saying HTMX the entire time. Madison, it was great to have you on here. I gotta
Thanks for having me,
gotta
guys.
have you speak with your diaphragm more though, because I know you gotta just really get it out there. You know what I mean?
I'll
And
work
then-
on that. for
And
sure.
then I think we all owe one gigantic thank you to Theo for doing all the legwork to make this possible. You should have saw the email chain we had. It was all of us linked on an email, and then it was just Theo production team, Theo production, and it just went on for 900
I'm
emails.
sorry we couldn't get you your exercise ball. We tried.
It's okay. I really wanted to bounce, but I can't now, and it's just sad. And then thank you for Trash.
Yeah,
You
I just
came
showed
here.
up.
You
I
just
just
showed
crashed
up.
it. I just crashed it. I'm sorry.
No, this was
Yeah,
awesome.
what do you mean? That's bash, not trash.
Oh,
You're
yeah,
saying
yeah.
it wrong.
Bash Bunny, you know,
Bash Dev.
I see you made it out here. I thought you were sick. You're looking a little sick. I can kind of see it in you. You know.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
You know exactly what the hell I mean.
Okay. Well, I feel good. Rude.
Trash bunny.
Nerds.
true.
Well, on the
It's true.
topic of bouncing, I think it's time for us to bounce. Appreciate y'all a ton. Thank you, everyone at NextConf, for having us, and thank you to everybody who hung out for this chaotic mess of a stream. This was quite the experience, but I'm happy we got to do this. Thank you all, and I'll see you for my usual scheduled programming next week.
God
Damn it. I need to turn this off before they get too frisky. Peace, nerds. Thanks again.